Chapter 952. Whoosh. Sword light surged, and the sword returned to his hand. Lin Chen held the sword in his hand. The green destiny sword was 3 feet and 3 inches long, and the blade was dark green. Lin Chen smiled and said, "It doesn't matter what sword technique it is. What matters is that I will be the one to use it." Lin Chen held the sword and slashed vertically. The sword aura condensed from thousands of fire dragons was absorbed into the sword, and the flames flickered with starlight as the sword slashed explosively. Rumble. The terrifying sword aura seemed to tear the heavens apart, and it lit up the clouds like a rainbow. Ao Jiuxiao's expression changed. This unknown kid actually had such terrifying attack power. Raging waves engulf mountains and rivers. Ao Jiuxiao used his strongest defensive technique, and the painting of world hegemony transformed into a raging wave that came crashing down. It could topple mountains and overturn seas, destroying everything in its path. Splat. Rip. The starlight sword aura mixed with crimson flames burned the sky, burning the raging waves. The sword split the painting of world hegemony, and all of its momentum collapsed. Ao Jiuxiao was cut down by the sword aura. Blood spurted from his left shoulder, and a shocking sword wound appeared, almost splitting him in half. 5 attribute light balls rolled down from where he was. My hegemony, no. Ao Jiuxiao's eyes were bloodshot, and his flesh was torn apart, revealing his bones. He looked extremely miserable. The heroes were shocked, and the 2 saints were astonished. My God, who is this person? He defeated Ao Jiuxiao in 2 moves. It's too terrifying. When he slashed down just now, it was as if he wanted to split the sky open. I was scared stiff. The prodigies swallowed their saliva. The power of that sword was soul deep. The king exclaimed, "What a mysterious sword technique. It's domineering and unparalleled." The sword technique is mixed with pure power, and the fire element battle aura is extremely pure. The sword technique's grade is not high, but it has a feeling of returning to the origin. Everyone took a closer look. It was one of the 2 names displayed on the platform. Prodigy ranking 85880. One swords only, Zhendok Shuai. Affiliation, Black Horse Club, grade unknown, Zhendok Shuai. What kind of name is this? Does he have any shame? Black Horse Club? What kind of power is this? The Black Horse Club? Could be the faction that Lin Chen belongs to. More than a month ago, an unprecedented upheaval occurred in the genius rankings. More than 30 geniuses fell at the same time, and it was this Black Horse Club's doing. This person is actually from the Black Horse Club. All the geniuses cried out involuntarily in shock. This was too ridiculous. There was a difference of almost 10,000 ranks between the 2 sides. The difference in level wasn't just a little bit. It was actually a genius from the Black Horse Club who had insta-killed Ao Jiuxiao. News of what had happened at the Conference of the 4 Powers had yet to reach the southern region. Everyone's impression of the Black Horse Club was still stuck at the fact that 30 geniuses had fallen. The winner is Zhendok Shuai, the referee announced. Lin Chen politely cupped his hands, sheathed his sword, and took the attribute light ball. Host has received 9 advanced cultivation techniques soul essences, 1 advanced wind energy, 1 advanced spirit, 1,800 strengthening points. Heavens, that young man is too strong. He actually defeated Menghong, Sane Empire's Prince Ao Jiuxiao in 2 moves. With his strength, could he be in the top 70,000 of the genius rankings? The spectators gasped in amazement. That godly killing move had stunned everyone. The king flicked his sleeve, and a drop of holy light fell on Ao Jiuxiao's head, healing his injuries in a few breaths' time. He glared at Lin Chen with his red eyes, clenched his teeth, and left. He was filled with resentment and unwillingness, but more than that, he was afraid. This person's strength was too terrifying. He was much more arrogant than him. Lin Chen was neither servile nor overbearing as he calmly returned to his seat. There was nothing to be proud of. Ao Jiuxiao was a second tribulation combat emperor, and Lin Shun was also a second tribulation combat emperor. His cultivation wouldn't fall too far behind the geniuses on the genius rankings. His elemental attributes had increased by nearly 1,000 times compared to before the Conference of the Four Powers. The average advanced elemental energy had reached 100 points, which was equivalent to 10 billion intermediate elemental energy. The 240% increase in mental cultivation technique strengthening was extremely terrifying. His pure strength was at the level of a 3 tribulation body refinement emperor. Facing a genius of the same level, as long as he was serious, he could defeat his opponent in one move. However, after Lin Shun broke through to the second tribulation combat emperor, his opponents were either Sage Realm experts or Saint Beasts. And Lin Xingchen, who was so strong that it defied the heavens. As a result, even though his cultivation had broken through 2 levels, there wasn't much of a difference. But if he was in the genius rankings, it would be extremely terrifying. The old woman in black clicked her tongue in wonder. I didn't expect that even this old woman had misjudged him. Granny, what did this young man use to defeat that young master? The grade of his swordsmanship isn't high. Even the girl in the plain dress couldn't help but be curious. The old woman in black glanced at her and thought to herself, could it be that my dear granddaughter likes this type of young man? His swordsmanship is at most at the peak of the purple tier. However, his sword at the peak of the 7th grade has a unique sharpness that is more than twice as powerful as a weapon of the same level. Even I haven't seen it before. Most importantly, his fire elemental battle chi is awe-inspiring and vigorous. It's the strongest I've ever seen. It's not a power that a second tribulation combat emperor can control. The girl in the plain dress was astonished. If he's so strong, doesn't that mean he's stronger than my royal brother? After saying that, she glanced at Lin Shun. Not necessarily, but even if he's not as strong, he's not too far off. What do you think? Do you like this young man? The old woman in black smiled. The girl in the plain dress mumbled, Granny, if you continue to be like this, I'll ignore you. All right. I won't mention it anymore. The old woman in black beamed with joy. The Black Horse Club is indeed a sect that's in the limelight. Looks like there's something to look forward to this time. The king was secretly delighted. After another 2 hours, the winners and losers of the 20 geniuses were all decided. The 3rd batch, the 4th batch, the 5th batch. There were a total of 100 geniuses participating in the genius list this time. Every one of them was a powerhouse and would be considered outstanding in a 4th grade sect. As for Lin Shun, he didn't pay attention to what was happening on the battle stage. He was wholeheartedly consuming the high-level technique essence to integrate the records of the ancient Saint Odd crystal cultivation secret technique. Now that he had the foundation of 3 spirit plants of fate, he could try to cultivate an odd crystal. The spirit plants of fate absorb the heaven and earth's fate to be born. The odd crystal is formed from the condensation of heaven and earth's energy. It can convert the special energy of heaven and earth into the spirit plants of fate and condense the spirit plants of fate. 3 or more spirit plants of fate are responsible for absorbing energy, compressing energy, condensing energy, and forming an odd crystal. Lin Shun exclaimed at his heart. The ancient god was truly a shocking genius. He could actually create such a heaven-defying technique. He was bold and meticulous, whimsical and meticulous in realizing this idea. In the past, there was Tu Sheng who went against the heavens and changed his fate. He collected information from thousands of races and created the ultimate shadow. Then, there was the ancient god who created the odd crystal cultivation secret technique. The Saint's world really is a vast and wondrous world filled with geniuses. Chapter 953. After Lin Shun completely integrated all the records of the odd crystal nurturing secret technique, he couldn't help but exclaim. The first condition for cultivating odd crystals was to need 3 plants of luck at the peak stage. The more plants of luck at the peak stage, the better. Secondly, he needed to absorb a large amount of special energy that could create an odd crystal and transfer it to the plants of luck. He needed to use a special method to absorb the special energy into the plants of luck and split it into several steps to condense a complete odd crystal. Lin Shin glanced at the peach blossom plant pouch and saw that little shadow was curled up into a ball and was in seclusion. After the previous rounds of battles and absorbing a large amount of resources, it began to usher in a small breakthrough in growth. Because this little guy didn't look like a fierce beast, Lin Shin couldn't tell what cultivation level it was at. The second round began. While Lin Shun was thinking, a day had passed and the second round of the competition had begun. One step at a time. First take the title of Holy Son-in-Law and get the 5 light treasure chest in the dowry. Lin Shun went down the stage, and his luck seemed to be extremely good. His second opponent was the Divine Travel Saber Emperor Lin Yidao. Sword Emperor versus Saber Emperor. It was a sensational battle. This was the highly anticipated Holy Son-in-Law selection battle, and some royal families were very optimistic about Lin Yidao. His strength was enough to rank in the top 5. Boom! Clang, clang, clang. As soon as they entered the arena, the two instantly activated their movement techniques and exchanged blows. The saber aura was like a dragon winding around, and every strike was heavy. The saber aura and sword shadows collided, and the sword shadows were endless. Lin Shin seemed to be casually swinging his sword, but in fact, the sword light perfectly cut off the saber aura's explosive point. Very strong, they are both at the peak of the second tribulation, but Lin Yidao is more than 2 levels stronger than the guy just now. Lin Shin evaluated in his heart. Show me your full strength. I know you're not ordinary. Lin Yidao coldly slashed his saber at Lin Shun, and the sword tip bounced back. When the saber blade was deflected, Jundok Shui smiled slyly. I'm not ordinary. I'm waiting for a prostitute. Bang! The sword light exploded into a field of starlight. Lin Shun used the silent step at full speed, flashed behind Lin Yidao, and slashed at his waist with both hands. Clang! Lin Yidao retreated and turned around. He held his saber and rotated the blade to parry Lin Shin's overbearing sword. Lin Yidao's arm went numb and his battle chi sputtered. He was surprised to find that this sword was even heavier and fiercer than before. Boom! Lin Shun used the silent step again and flashed towards Lin Yidao's back. At the same time, he slashed horizontally at Lin Yidao's neck with his dragon power and kicked Lin Yidao's anus with the 7 deadly pulling force and penetrating force. Yidao Lin was shocked. He hurriedly urged his defensive combat skill to protect his body. The saber beam protected his body as he slashed back. His speed is even faster than before. In addition to his swordsmanship, he also has a strange body-refining secret art. The moment the sword and saber collided, the Jundok Shui disappeared again and reappeared behind him. The Cyan Netherworld sword, which was imbued with fire calamity battle chi, stabbed out violently. F*CK. Lin Yidao almost cursed it out loud. Are you F*King done yet? If you're a man, fight head-on. Why do you keep circling around behind others? Is this guy crazy? Why does he keep circling behind others? How perverted. Damn it, I'm getting a little excited. Shame. In broad daylight, the world was clear and bright. We're all men, but this Jundok Shui keeps attacking from behind. I even turned off the lights. I suddenly remembered that the Black Horse Club specializes in attacking from behind. How perverted. The spectators outside the Imperial City twitched their mouths. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. No matter how he fought, the Jundok Shui kept circling behind and attacking violently. With his strange speed, his body-refining combat skill, and his swordsmanship, it was impossible for Lin Yidao to defend himself every time. Mother F***er, are you still a F***king man? Fight me head-on if you have guts. Lin Yidao flew into a rage out of humiliation. This was the first time in his life that he had fought such a humiliating battle. How could there be such a person in the world? Specialized in attacking from behind? Lin Yidao's body circulated with the brilliance of 5 wind attribute odd crystal fragments. He condensed his battle chi, held his saber, and slashed horizontally. Extreme windfall. The saber flashed chaotically as wind blades spread out like a huge net. In an instant, they gathered around Lin Chun and blocked his retreat. It's Lin Yidao's half-orange grade technique, the extreme wind fall saber technique. This is the strongest saber technique that blocks all the opponent's retreat. How was that kid going to deal with it? All the geniuses held their breaths. This was a killing blow from more than 60,000 geniuses. Its power was extremely terrifying, and even a fourth Tribulation Combat Emperor might not be able to withstand it. Chi! Rumble! The wind blades collapsed, and the killing saber light collided with the Jundak Shui and exploded. It was an afterimage. All the geniuses were shocked. He actually dodged it? That was the full blow of the Divine Travel Saber Emperor. What a powerful spiritual perception. This kid predicted the trajectory of his attack and dodged it in advance. The old woman in black narrowed her eyes. The young man's mocking sneer came from behind Lin Yidao. You don't like to use a sword? Do you want me to take out my spear? What? Lin Yidao was shocked and quickly retreated. Thousands of red flames burned the sky as they flowed on the tip of the sword. Lin Chun raised his sword and slashed down. Rip! With a whistling sound, the orange light of the sword fell and slashed down. Lin Yidao was shocked and raised his saber to block. His defensive technique was like the roar of a true dragon as he activated the True Dragon Protective Art. Chi! Bang! Lin Yidao's defense was torn apart like a piece of paper. Blood splattered everywhere. Dozens of attribute light balls rolled down. This is also a half-orange grade sword technique. It's even stronger than Lin Yidao's extreme windfall. The monarch exclaimed. Lin Chun moved like a whirlpool and slashed at Lin Yidao's head, not giving him a chance to breathe. I forfeit. Swoosh! The tip of the sword was still 2 feet away from Lin Yidao's neck. The sword light was biting cold and sharp, making him break out in cold sweat. The difference between your current appearance and your previous appearance is a bit big. Lin Chun chuckled. Lin Yidao gritted his teeth. Winner takes all. You've won. There's nothing to say. Received 4 Heaven's Path points, 3 Advanced Wind Energy points, 200 Advanced Battle Chi Essence points, 12 Advanced Skill Essence points, 1,150 Strengthening points. Lin Chun, who had taken away the attribute light ball, calmly returned to his seat. His temperament was elegant and spirited, as if he had not experienced a great battle at all. It was a stark contrast to Lin Yidao, who was covered in blood. The Black Horse Club actually has such a strong person. This person's strength is seriously inconsistent with his ranking. If it was a battle of life and death, Lin Yidao would have died. He didn't overdo it. This proves that he is still at ease. The Black Horse Club is really abnormal. The geniuses were speechless. The high-ranking officials and ministers were all amazed. The audience was in an uproar. This young man who suddenly appeared was actually so powerful. A genius ranked over 80,000 defeated a genius ranked over 60,000. The woman in the plain dress looked at him curiously. The old woman in black nodded slightly, her eyes full of admiration. Very good little guy. This kid hasn't used his full strength. It seems that the son-in-law selection is still a bit underestimated. The king flicked his sleeve and healed Lin Yidao. Thank you, king. Lin Yidao cupped his fists. His face looked as if he had eaten feces as he left the battle stage and retreated to the side. So strong. The Qin sisters were shocked. Lin Chen's combat strength had improved by leaps and bounds. When he fought with the young pavilion master of the Hidden Pavilion, he still had to show some powerful trump cards. Now, Lin Yidao was several levels stronger than the young pavilion master of the Hidden Pavilion. He could actually defeat his opponent with a smile. Qin Jian's heart palpitated as she muttered in her heart. How long has it been? This Lin Chun is a monster. Chapter 954. There were only 32 geniuses left in the 3rd round. Among these 32 geniuses, the lowest ranking was 80101. Most of them were ranked 70,000 or 60,000. There was even one that was ranked in the top 60,000. The sixth princess has arrived. At this moment, a eunuch announced. All the geniuses were shocked. The monarch stared into the distance and smiled. That lass, she's finally showing some interest. Ripples appeared in the void as the beauty moved gracefully. This time, the sixth princess was not armed. She was wearing a peach-red robe and had a slender waist. She had beautiful eyebrows and long hair that reached her waist. She had a cold face, bright eyes, white teeth, and a tall and slender figure. Her long and slender legs, which were as fair as jade, could be said to be a peerless beauty in the world. Many geniuses couldn't help but swallow their saliva subconsciously. The sixth princess's bones exuded a cold elegance and nobility, but there was also a bit of charm. Her clothes were not revealing, but the temperament between her eyebrows made the geniuses have a sense of abstinence that made them want to conquer her or be conquered by her. This big sister is so beautiful, the young girl in a simple dress beside the old woman in black exclaimed. The old woman nodded with a smile. She looks 70% like her mother, but Mayu Air is still a little prettier. The sixth princess gracefully and slowly walked to her seat. She looked around and took in everyone's details. She felt calm in her heart. Are these men fighting to become my husband? Or perhaps they're here for Imperial Father's dowry. None of them are good at fighting. They're only SOSO. The sixth princess's eyes paused on one person for a moment. This person is the handsome young man in a silver robe had his eyes closed. He was calm and collected. As if he had sensed the sixth princess's gaze, the young man opened his eyes and smiled. His eyes were clear and calm. All the geniuses participating in the son-in-law selection had more or less heard of the sixth princess's beauty. Part of the motive was the dowry. After all, in the sacred boundary, there were never enough cultivation resources. However, the main motive was to become the golden son-in-law of the Holy Empire. However, the sixth princess did not feel the same scorching gaze from this young man as she did from the other men. He was really just smiling out of politeness. In the past, the sixth princess had encountered similar geniuses who pretended to be indifferent in an attempt to attract her attention. However, these people's intentions could not escape her eyes. They were not like this young man's clear eyes, which were as calm as an ancient well. He was completely uninterested in her. Could it be that this princess's charm is not enough for you? The sixth princess instinctively felt indignant. You said that you're participating in the selection of a son-in-law, but you're not interested in the princess. Isn't this ruining your reputation? Seeing that Lin Shun and the sixth princess didn't seem to have any feelings for each other, Qin Miao breathed a sigh of relief. Coming from an imperial family, the sixth princess put away her small emotions and came to her father. She bowed slightly and sat next to him. The monarch smiled and said, I thought you wouldn't come. Father, you must be joking. The sixth princess said indifferently, It's about my life. How can I not come? No matter who wins in the end, they won't be my match. The monarch smiled faintly. That's not necessarily true. Among the geniuses who came this time, there are a few geniuses. You might not be able to win. The sixth princess smiled confidently. In terms of battle, she had never lost to anyone of her age. She was the future female martial saint of the Shang Fu ancient kingdom. She didn't think that there was a man who could conquer her among these geniuses. In the nearby ancient kingdoms and rank 4 forces, only a few top princes were able to match him. The third round began. With the sixth princess's appearance, the male geniuses seemed to have been injected with chicken blood. The moment they entered the battle stage, the battle became white-hot. The male geniuses present had seen many beauties, but the sixth princess's temperament and figure still captivated them. It could be said that her charm was unparalleled in the world. On the fourth battle stage, Lin Chen's opponent came up first. He was dressed in a green robe and looked handsome. With a smile on his face, he looked like a polite, noble young master. It was easy for people to have a good impression of him. This young man was Lin Chen's opponent. His appearance caused everyone's expression to become serious. The two sisters' faces also changed slightly. Genius ranking 64450, Blood Shadow, Chun Wuming. It's him? Chun Wuming, it's that bastard. Qin Jian gritted his teeth. Lin Chen was curious. You know him? He was the one who sold information about our whereabouts to that green shadow thief, Qi Faming. As a result, my sister and I were kidnapped. The Chen clan and our Gu clan have always had a business relationship. At that time, we didn't think that he would do such a dirty thing. If my sister and I weren't protected by our clan's holy power trump card, we might have been defiled by this bastard and then sent to Tao Tai to be fed. Qin Juyan was furious. Even the pure and kind Qin Miao, Er's eyes were filled with anger. It could be seen that she was really angry to the extreme. Oh, so it's a mortal enemy. That's good. Lin Chen smiled. His cold smile revealed an awe-inspiring, murderous intent. If it was an enemy, then there was no need to be soft-hearted. He had already provoked a bunch of Saint Stage experts. So what if he provoked the Chun clan? The sacred boundary was so vast that just one domain could accommodate countless forces. He traveled back and forth between the 36 domains with just the 1,000 illusion mask and the innate shadow art. Who could catch him? Prince Lin Shun, don't be rash. You can't make any more enemies. Qin Miao didn't have time to stop Lin Shun. He leaped into the arena. The sixth princess stared at Lin Chen's arena with interest and snickered in her heart. Jundak Shuai? What kind of name is that? Is there anyone who praises themselves like that? The other battles either had a huge disparity in strength or were too low in level to attract her interest. Chen Wuming's ranking was only 1,000 places away from the six princesses. Although the six princesses' ranking hadn't changed 5 years ago, Chen Wuming was still very powerful. Black Horse Club, I've heard of your name. You're very arrogant. Chen Wuming smiled gently, but there was an imperceptible trace of viciousness in his eyes. This person was a ruthless character. Lin Shun ignored him and turned to look at the king. King, I hope this battle can be changed to a life and death battle. Only one person can enter the arena. I hope the king and the judges won't interfere. Wow. The moment these words were spoken, everyone was shocked. Even the sixth princess's expression changed slightly. The expressions of the old woman in black and the king were a bit unexpected. A life and death battle? This was a genius ranked 65,000th on the genius list. He was almost 2 levels stronger than Lin Dao. Did this Jundak Shuai have absolute confidence? A life and death battle as soon as they met? Before the king could speak. Hey. Why are you making decisions on your own? I'm not going to have a life and death battle with you. Chen Wuming waved his hand and rejected. Don't think that I don't know the style of the Black Horse Club. You're a group of lunatics who don't care about life and death. Just follow the rules of choosing a son-in-law. If I can win, I'll win. If I can't, I'll withdraw. Hey, so angry. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. This person was really cunning. Chapter 955. Young friend Jundak Shuai. This life and death duel requires both of you to agree to it. It can't be established. The monarch smiled, but was secretly shocked. This kid was like a peerless sword hidden in a scabbard. Blood would be spilled when it was unsheathed. He was obviously at ease in the battle with Lin Dao, so no one could say who was stronger between him and Chen Wuming. Moreover, Chen Wuming had a powerful background. If he died here, it would be troublesome. All right, then let's follow the rules of choosing a son-in-law. Lin Chen smiled faintly. He would never change his choice when he wanted to kill someone. TSK. How did I offend you? You want to have a life and death duel with me as soon as we meet. Chen Wuming clicked his tongue in wonder. His expression was full of calmness. I don't need a reason to kill in the Black Horse Club. Lin Shun stood in the wind with the Green Destiny sword in his hand. Fine, I'll play with you. Let's see if your sword skills are better or your mouth is better. Chen Wuming had a meteor-like scythe hanging on his body. It was dark and full of murderous intent. The crowd held their breaths, and the high-ranking officials focused. The referee gave the order, and the atmosphere of the battle exploded. Begin. Rip. Chen Wuming shot out a peak rank 7 scythe. It was bloody and curved like a crescent moon, tearing at Lin Shun from the side. Blood Demon Killing Claw. Chen Wuming stretched out his claw, for the surprise attack of the scythe. His right arm shone with the brilliance of 3 odd crystal fragments. The dark red claw on his right hand was a peak rank 7 weapon. He could perfectly control 2 peak rank 7 weapons at the same time. His strength was completely different from the previous geniuses. The claw marks were like rainbows, and the scythe curved like a crescent moon flashed with fatal, murderous intent. They surrounded Lin Chun from the left and right. What a terrifying, murderous intent. Chun Wuming is a 3rd Tribulation Combat Emperor, but this move is so terrifying that it could even kill a 4th Tribulation Combat Emperor. No wonder he's ranked 64450 on the genius list. Some of the top generals of the Holy Empire looked solemn. This kid looked gentle, but his murderous intent was stronger than those who had been on the battlefield. He was definitely a ruthless character who had killed countless people. In the blink of an eye, a sudden change occurred. Boom! At this moment, the situation changed abruptly. The expressions of the old woman in black and the monarch changed drastically. A grayish-white talisman fell from the sky above Chun Wuming's head. Demon Suppression Sainthood. When the grayish-white talisman exploded, the space became particularly slow and stagnant. The speed of the sickle hook and the blood shadow claw went from extremely fast state to extremely slow. What? Chun Wuming's expression changed drastically. The transformation of his battle aura was extremely slow. It was extremely difficult for him to even circulate his movement technique and retreat. Clang! The moment the gray-white talisman exploded, a sword hum that sounded like a dragon's roar was unsheathed, reverberating through the 9 heavens and resounding throughout the entire imperial palace. In that instant, Lin Chun activated his 7-fold transformation ultimate moment talent. His body was covered in a dark green light, and his pure strength skyrocketed to 99 million. The blazing and violent battle aura of the fire calamity rose above Lin Chen's head. His silver robe fluttered, and the blazing flames were like lines of fire, instantly burning Lin Chen's entire body. He looked like a god that had descended to the mortal world. The sword in Lin Chen's hand was flowing with the aura of an extremely powerful and domineering king. The might of a saint could suppress the heavens. An 8th grade sword? Isn't he using a pinnacle 7th grade sword? Why did it change to an 8th grade saint sword? While the monarch and the old woman in black were shocked, Lin Chen's shoulders trembled. Endless fury burned through the universe and gathered on the Atlas sword. Lin Chun held the sword with both hands, and the pure strength in his hands exploded as he slashed down fiercely. It was a furious slash. Sword fury raises the sky. The orange sword rainbow condensed by the Atlas sword flashed rapidly, and an aurora flashed in front of most people's eyes. The sword rainbow was like the first radiance of the aurora, and when it slashed down, the aftershock of the sword aura instantly annihilated Chun Wuming's attack. Their attacks were not on the same level at all. Rip! The orange sword rainbow split Chun Wuming into 2 halves on the spot, and the aftershock of the fire calamity sword aura ignited and burned him in an instant. Dozens of attribute light balls floated in the air. Chun Wuming dead. Crack! Chi! Bang! The sword rainbow flashed and disappeared, and with a chi, the battle stage was split into 2 halves. Lin Chen's sword split the battle stage, which was dozens of acres wide, and there were still traces of the fire calamity burning on the surface of the cut. Bang! Flowers fell from the sky, and golden light shone brilliantly. A golden light exploded above Lin Chen's head. One swords only, Jundak Shui, affiliation, Black Horse Club, grade unknown, advanced to 64450 on the genius rankings. Silence. A deathly silence. One sword shocked the heavens. Chun Wuming didn't even have the chance to cry out. Under the restraint of the slowing rune, he was cut into 2 halves by Lin Chen's sword. Instant kill with 1 sword. He didn't even give the other party a chance to call for surrender. He was so strong that it made one's scalp tingle. The sixth princess stood up slowly, and her waist-length hair fluttered in the wind. A powerful battle aura swept over. For the first time, the cold and arrogant sixth princess's beautiful eyes shone with a strange light and battle intent. She didn't expect to find a worthy opponent in the selection contest. Without a doubt, this Jundak Shuai was qualified to fight with her. I've misjudged him twice. I didn't expect him to be so strong. Even I couldn't see through the secret technique that sealed the void. The power of that sword was infinitely close to an orange-grade sword technique. Plus, he used a holy sword to kill him instantly. Even I can't reverse the situation. The king and the old woman in black were amazed. This guy hid his strength too well. Chen Wuming's strength was ranked in the top 3 of the candidates in this contest. The fact that the Black Horse Club Jundak Shuai could kill him in an instant was equivalent to advancing to the finals. After using the sword just now, he calmly put away his tier 8 sword without any burden. He would definitely win this time's son-in-law selection. What a domineering sword. The lady in the plain dress stared at Lin Chen's back in amazement. I didn't even use the charging rune and killed this guy. I don't know if I'll have a chance to wrestle with a sage after I reach the peak of the 5th Calamity Combat Emperor. Lin Chen walked over slowly and collected the storage ring, attribute light balls, and odd crystal fragments that Chen Wuming dropped. Obtained 1,200 points of high-grade blood, 5 points of high-grade thunder energy, 4 points of high-grade rune energy, 2 points of high-grade mental power. Host decomposed 9 odd crystal fragments. Obtained attribute points, 5 points of high-grade thunder energy, 7 points of high-grade wind energy, 3 points of high-grade water energy. Obtained special attribute points, 19. 5 million points of red lotus demonic flame, 24 million points of dragon ice demon, 18. 8 million points of thousand ruthless Een wind. Lin Chen decomposed all the odd crystal fragments that he obtained from the Sacred Flame Phoenix's warehouse and the odd crystal fragments that Chen Wuming dropped. The number of his high-grade blue rank sure kill skills had reached 13. Because the odd crystal fragments that he obtained were relatively large, almost 1/9, or even 1/8 the size of an odd crystal, he obtained more attribute points after decomposing them. Prince Lin Chen, Qi Miao, looked at Lin Chen gratefully while Qin Jian pursed his lips. Lin Chen smiled casually. It's fine. This kind of person is a scourge. As for the two of you, if anything happens to me, follow Fu Sheng Ancient Kingdom to find the spatial passage here and return to the mysterious domain. Ensuring your safety is the most important thing. Chapter 956. In the 4th round, Lin Chen's opponent directly forfeited. The 5th round was the final round of the competition to choose a son-in-law. The genius ranked 6-2045 on the genius ranking gave up after a few rounds with Lin Chen. The Black Horse Club's Jundak Shuai stood at the end. Ha good. I didn't think that my St. Fu country would have such an outstanding son-in-law. Congratulations. The king beamed. Although Lin Chen had defeated Chen Wuming, it wasn't a big deal. In the arena, there were rules. Life and death were still in the hands of the participants. Chen Wuming's skills were inferior, but with the St. Fu Ancient Country's foundation, as long as Jundak Shuai became the son-in-law, the Chen clan would not dare to touch him. Finally passed. Once I get the attribute treasure chest in the dowry, I'll think of a way to escape. Lin Chen exhaled as if a heavy burden had been lifted off his shoulders. Wait a minute, father. You know my condition. The 6th princess finally stood up. Lin Chen frowned. Condition? Could there be a change at this juncture? The king said with some dissatisfaction. Luer, you've already seen your son-in-law's strength. Why do you need to fight again? His strength is enough to convince the masses. Son-in-law? You're calling him your son-in-law so quickly? The 6th princess raised her eyebrows. The king coughed lightly. The beauty said calmly, his strength is strong, but the prerequisite is that he could defeat me. The 6th princess waved her hand and a green light flowed. She held the cyan moon saber in her hand and wore a long robe and armor. She looked majestic as she stepped into the arena. Jundok Shuai, defeat me and you'll pass the competition. I, Yu Qingli, will not marry a man weaker than me. Lin Chen's heart was filled with an inexplicable anger. Damn it, didn't we agree that there would be no problems if I passed the competition? Why are you still doing this? The officials and commoners couldn't help but hold their breaths. The sixth princess was going to fight personally. She was hailed as the future female martial saint of Fu Sheng ancient kingdom. Her talent was number one, and her comprehension was number one. The other princes and princesses were far inferior to her. There was no one in the royal family who could be compared to him. Would the Jundok Shuai be a match for him? Lin Chen's expression was somewhat cold as he turned to look at the monarch. Monarch, this should be the last condition, right? The monarch's expression was a little awkward. This is my daughter's decision. Little friend, please don't hold back. Just fight with all you've got. All right, a monarch doesn't go back on his words. I believe the monarch this time. Lin Chun leaped into the arena, facing the sixth princess, Yu Qingli. Her saber weapon, Azure Moon, was at the peak of the seventh rank. It was surrounded by a sharp aura that resembled the glow of the moon. Just by releasing a strand of saber energy, it could slice through the void and crush the air. Wait a moment. How do we determine the outcome? Lin Chun raised his hand. No matter what, it was still a son-in-law selection. He couldn't possibly beat him to death like he did to Chen Wuming just now, right? Deal with me the same way you dealt with Chen Wuming. We'll fight until we can't fight anymore. The corner of Lin Chen's mouth twitched when he heard Yu Qingli's words. He had never seen such a strange request before. Beat you to death? Swoosh! A saber energy curved like a crescent moon burst out from Yu Qingli's saber light. It was like a long river that entrenched itself, and the saber disc twisted towards Lin Chun. Sevenfold transformation, ultimate moment. Lin Chen's pure strength and mental power skyrocketed. He gripped the green destiny sword tightly and slashed horizontally. The sword light moved like the stars and cut through the saber energy. Although Lin Chen's battle chi cultivation didn't break through to the next realm due to the amplification of the sevenfold transformation, it was more powerful than all the third tribulation battle emperors. Take out that secret technique of yours that can seal off space, Jundok Shuai. Yu Qingli stepped into the air and charged towards Lin Chun. Her saber light flashed, and four spiraling saber energies slashed towards Lin Chun from four different directions. Lin Chun held his sword and slashed diagonally, turning around and slashing horizontally. He evaded all the saber energies and smiled indifferently. I will judge whether you are worthy of my use or not. Also, thank you for the compliment. Everyone knows that the Black Horse Club is full of handsome people, so I hope that the princess will keep a low profile. Glib tongue, take my saber. Yu Qingli was like a sonorous rose that bloomed on the battlefield. She was like a goddess of war who had entered the battlefield. Her saber techniques were endless, fast, and steady. Every saber had been tempered thousands of times, and all of them slashed towards Lin Chen's blind spots. Clang, clang, clang. The saber light and sword shadows, one green and one red, collided violently in a split second. Both sides were engaged in a chaotic battle. Yu Qingli's movement technique was extremely fast. She actually suppressed Lin Chun, who had activated Ultimate Moment. 7-star slash. Faint green flash. The red sword light was like a straight rainbow. An extremely fast saber light slashed horizontally and cut Lin Chen's sword light in half. Rumble. Lin Chen's 5 forces in one palm hit her lower abdomen. All 99 million dragon power points were gathered. Clang. Her leg armor flew across the air to block the attack. The beauty's long and beautiful legs exploded with a terrifying strength. She leaped into the air, and with a high kick, she spun around like a windmill and blocked Lin Chen's palm strike. Whoosh. After his palm was blocked, Lin Chun stabbed out with his sword in a reverse grip. The sword light whistled and stabbed diagonally towards Yu Qingli's neck. Murderous intent was revealed. Yu Qingli's tall figure slid back like a beautiful snake. Her saber turned and slashed down, blocking Lin Chen's sword. Whoosh! The sound of wind splitting rang out. Yu Qingli raised her leg and kneed Lin Chen's waist with a light green wind-type battle aura. Bam! The shockwave exploded. Lin Chen raised his left arm and struck with an elbow. The metal calamity mystic handle circulated. At the same time, he blocked the opponent's knee and her wind-type battle aura. Bam! 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 Boom! The two of them fought with speed, dazzling the eyes. The two figures flashed rapidly. The Jundak Shuai, who had always suppressed others with speed, was suppressed by the sixth princess Yu Qingli. Her wind-type battle aura was originally good at speed. Even the infinite silent steps, enhanced by the ultimate moment talent, was at a disadvantage. The swordsmanship was fierce and tricky in close combat. The saber technique was a terrifying body-refining technique. The two of them seemed to have met their match and were locked in a fierce battle. They fought fiercely all the way from the sky to the battle stage. The weak could only see countless shadows crisscrossing. Those below the second Calamity Battle Emperor level couldn't even see the battle. Lin Chen, who had activated the ultimate moment, could completely crush the geniuses in the 70,000 genius rankings. But now, he could only fight evenly with Yu Qingli. Without a doubt, the two of them have the combat power of the top 60,000 genius rankings. The top geniuses looked dignified. This battle was completely unknown. You haven't made me fight with my full strength yet. Take out your trump card and that shocking sword. Otherwise, you won't be my opponent. Yu Qingli warned, and the speed of her saber technique suddenly increased by 30%. I will judge whether it's worth it. Lin Chen was not surprised and smiled indifferently. Don't tell me you think that my trump card is only those two moves. Then I'll force you out. Yu Qingli slashed vertically, and her saber technique suddenly changed. Her entire body released a faint light of lightning-type, odd crystal fragments. The saber light was as fast as lightning, and the dense lightning saber marks instantly suppressed Lin Chen. It's the sixth princess's specialty, the half-orange grade, lightning flash 1,000 kills! The general's morale was boosted. Yu Qingli attacked with her full strength, and her cultivation was immediately revealed. She was actually a fourth Calamity Battle Emperor. Her cultivation was 2 full realms higher than Lin Chen's. It was a complete suppression. Chapter 9, 57. The cultivation of a fourth Tribulation Battle Emperor stunned everyone once again. Yu Qingli was indeed the #1 genius in the history of the Fu Saint Nation. Her exceptional talent could be said to be at the peak of a 4th grade force. She would be considered one of the best, even in a 5th grade force. Lin Chen still smiled without any ripples. You've always wanted me to hold the sword. So you actually like my big treasure sword that much? Actually, I'm the best at drawing my spear. Rumble. Clang. Lin Chen pulled out the skyscraping sword. His saintly aura filled the sky, and the domineering aura of a king swept across the entire arena. Hiss. He's serious. He's really drawing out the saint sword. Mother asterisk her. This guy dares to kill the princess? The corners of the genius's mouths twitched violently. On the contrary, some of the high-ranking officials cast disdainful looks. Worried about the princess? The one who should be worried is that guy. Although the sixth princess's ranking wasn't the highest in the arena, her ranking on the genius ranking had remained unchanged for 5 years. Her current strength was not as simple as the ranking. I can only use the Saint Sword for a limited time. In addition, the rune's energy is extremely limited. I won't use the level 6 runes to avoid wasting their energy. I'll suppress her directly. Lin Chen made up his mind and struck out with his sword, shattering Yu Qingli's lightning blade shadow. Swoosh! Yu Qingli's shadow exploded. Her real body flashed above Lin Chen's head. Her speed was so fast that most of the 5th Tribulation Battle Emperors couldn't see through it. Lin Chen was shocked. Her speed was ridiculously fast. Clang! Lin Chen's mental consciousness reacted extremely quickly. In an instant, He blocked Yu Qingli's attack with his blade. Rumble. Thunder rumbled and lightning flashed. It was so fast that Lin Chun could barely react. He turned around and slashed his blade behind him. The blade and the sword collided. Lin Chun took advantage of the momentum and sent out dozens of mental attacks behind him, shattering one side of the arena. But he still missed. Yu Qingli's body jumped like lightning, leaving only a faint shadow in the arena. Even Lin Chun was surprised. Yu Qingli's laughter came. Good reaction. Your mental strength is very strong. Again, swoosh, swoosh, rumble. Wind and thunder moved at the same time, whistling as they rolled up, forming snowflake-like blades of lightning that shot towards Lin Chun. Lin Chun swiftly brandished his mighty heaven sword, 7 extremes force and spirit shock. These 3 types of attacks were launched in quick succession. Lightning and saber chi exploded, leaving behind a large area. I didn't expect this girl to have learned it to such an extent. She even learned the 1,000 caddies of lightning blaze. This is a little difficult. The monarch couldn't help but reveal a troubled expression. Wasn't this bullying? 1,000 caddies lightning blaze was the most difficult secret skill to cultivate in the Fushan country's royal family. The reason was simple. It was because it was a half-orange grade movement skill. A half-orange grade movement technique was even rarer than a half-orange grade mental cultivation technique, because movement-type combat skills were too difficult to create and pass down. Many saints did not even have a half-orange grade movement skill. Its rarity was second only to a complete orange grade combat skill. You have a good daughter. The black-robed old woman transmitted her voice to the country lord using battle chi, and the latter replied with a forced smile. That little guy is going to lose. Unless he uses that strange spatial ceiling technique just now, he might have a chance. The black-robed old woman shook her head. A half-orange grade movement skill could be said to be unbeatable. Yu Qingli's strength and cultivation base were already around the 57,000 genius ranking. With a half-orange grade movement skill, her strength was ridiculously strong. Unless her opponent had a movement skill of the same level, she would be unbeatable even if she fought against a genius ranked 50,000. This was the absolute suppression of movement skill speed. Grandma, is this young master going to lose? The girl in the plain dress asked curiously. The black-robed old woman smiled and said, "He is not weak. He is just unlucky. This girl's strength and talent are indeed a little heaven-defying. But it's good that he loses. He is quite compatible with my good granddaughter. He is still suitable to be my grandson-in-law, ha." The girl in the plain dress said with a straight face, "Grandma, you can't joke with people like that." Although she didn't hate the Jundak Shuai, she didn't have a good impression of him either. Rumble. The lightning blade flashed rapidly and broke through many of Lin Chen's attacks. Although his sword technique and attacks were fast, Yu Qingli was faster than him. He's going to lose. Most of the strong fighters present felt their hearts skip a beat. As expected, this Black Horse Club was still a little weaker than the #1 genius of Fushan country. He only lost because of his foundation and age, because he was still quite young. Lose. Jundak Shuai, this princess acknowledges your strength. Yu Qingli slashed horizontally, and the lightning blade flashed so fast that everyone felt a flash of lightning. Rip. The blade cut through the Jundak Shuai figure and slowly melted. Yu Qingli's beautiful eyes moved, showing some confusion. It was actually an afterimage of a light-type battle aura. Could it be Rip? Host has activated the complete passive talent. Assault. Power bonus, 300%. The moment the system screen popped up, the blade slashed at Yu Qingli's back. Clang. Rumble. The blade and sword surged, colliding with each other and creating tearing marks, disturbing the airflow. With a crack, a faint crack appeared on Yu Qingli's peak 7th tier armor. Lin Chun floated in the air, his silver robe fluttering with a faint pure white light like soft water. In the brilliance, there was a faint dragon shadow moving back and forth. Lin Chen's figure tilted slightly. Rip. The blazing white light shone from his body. His whole body seemed to have turned into a white dragon, and the dragon's shadow disappeared in a flash. Yu Qingli's face changed greatly. You have it too? The monarch and the black-clothed old woman's expressions instantly turned grave. A second Tribulation Combat Emperor could display such a terrifying speed. There was no doubt that he also had a half-orange grade movement technique, and it was at the perfect level. His movements were so smooth that it didn't seem like he had just started cultivating it. How many trump cards did this young man have? Rip! The mighty sky sword slashed horizontally, and Yu Qingli was caught off guard and exploded into a sky full of lightning and wind. Whoosh! 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 The earth-shattering sword slashes were like meteors, turning into a storm and slashing down rapidly. Yu Qingli waved her saber, and the saber shadow was like an airtight saber wave, colliding with the sky full of sword rain. Bang! Bang! The saber light was shattered. Both of them used their movement techniques to fight with saber and sword techniques, but they were completely suppressed by Lin Shun. His speed was more than twice as fast as Yu Qingli's. Host has activated a passive talent. Tear the opponent's defense. Rip! A tearing sound was heard, and Yu Qingli's battle chi defense was broken, and blood flowed out from the corner of her mouth. One move to decide the winner. Yu Qingli suddenly held her saber with both hands, and the green moonlight surged from the saber. She slashed at Lin Shun furiously. The saber chi flashing with the green moonlight turned into a long rainbow dragon, roaring angrily in the sky and pouncing on Lin Shun like a frightening dragon. It's the Thousand Moon Green Dragon. My God, the sixth princess has even learned this move. This is the saber technique closest to an orange grade inheritance technique in the Holy Empire. Chapter 958. Kaboom! Lin Shen's entire body was burning with anger. His sacred sword was dyed with a fire calamity battle aura. Lin Shen raised his sword and slashed the dragon. The orange sword light slashed down, and the anger burned the heaven and earth, turning into a furious sword slash. Rip! Bang! The two decided the victor in one move. Wind, lightning, and fire calamity exploded, forming a rolling tornado that went straight to the top of the palace. How's the battle? It seems to be a draw. This Jundak Shui is too strong. He still hasn't used that space ceiling secret technique. Did he hold back for the princess? That's not a big deal. He's here to participate in the son-in-law selection. Of course, he has to treat his future wife well. This kid has the demeanor of an expert swordsman. While the geniuses were looking forward to the battle, there was a tearing sound. Bang! Two flying daggers collided in the void, creating countless sparks. Everyone was shocked. These two still had a trump card? Both of them knew the flying dagger technique. The tornado dispersed, and two golden daggers flashed past. With a boom, they cut into Yu Qingli's armor, causing her lips to bleed. Boom! While Yu Qingli was hit by the two flying daggers, Lin Shen's body turned into a white dragon and appeared behind her. Lin Shen's fist was like a dragon, ruthlessly and savagely aimed at her slender waist. She hurriedly activated Lightning Blaze, Thousand Caddies, to dodge the attack. Who would have thought that Lin Shen would follow her like a shadow and follow up with another punch? Yu Qingli gritted her teeth and activated the defensive battle technique, Moonlight Glass Body. The battle aura of the battle armor turned into a glass of moonlight, and her entire body became tough and indestructible. Bang! Lin Shen's punch hit her, but it didn't hurt her. Under the multiple layers of protection, this punch didn't hurt Yu Qingli much. So handsome, sir. Yu Qingli was a little flustered, but before she could finish her sentence, Lin Shen had already reached out with lightning speed and grabbed her tall and slammed her onto the floor of the stage. Whoosh! Bang! The moonlight glass body cracked slightly. Azure Dragon Possession. Lin Shen infused the power of the Dragon Emperor into his body, and his pure strength skyrocketed to over 70 million. His strength was comparable to a four-tribulation battle emperor. The entire process was practically just a spark of flint. Lin Shun grabbed her calf and fiercely smashed Yu Qingli's entire body again. Attribute light balls rolled down. Yu Qingli was a fourth tribulation combat emperor and a genius on the genius ranking. The quality of the attribute light balls she dropped was quite high. Lin Shun smashed them even more vigorously. A series of loud rumbling sounds rang out. Yu Qingli's entire person was like being whipped around by Lin Shun. Countless people's mouths were slightly agape. Those with low mental fortitude even had their mouths twitching. It was too King brutal. The future female martial saint of the Fu Saint Nation was being whipped around like a whip. Everyone was shocked to see this. Who the CK said that this kid has a good demeanor. I'll blow his head off. CK. This is too scary. Is he still human? He can even lay his hands on the princess. The lips of the geniuses trembled. When they saw this Jundak Shuai's elegant demeanor, they thought that he was some noble young master. Now, they could see that he was simply an unparalleled demon. A minister quickly stood up and cupped his fists towards the king who was sitting in the void. Your humble servant begs your majesty to stop this battle. Something will happen to the princess. Yes, your majesty. This person is inhumane. The ministers all tried to persuade him, but the king only raised his hand and said expressionlessly, I know what I'm doing. My beloved ministers, please sit down. Grandma, he's so brutal. The girl in the simple dress leaned towards the old woman in black. The old woman smiled and said, This kid is indeed brutal. If it's a battle of life and death, he will naturally use everything he has. But he controlled his strength very well and did not completely beat this girl to death. Otherwise, the king would have already made his move. Yu Qingli felt as if her entire body was being torn apart. She had never suffered such terrible torture in her life. Her armor was cracking, and her moonlight glass armor was already broken. Her snow-white skin was covered in blood. He didn't even give me a chance to surrender. So brutal, so painful. Yu Qingli wailed in her heart. This time, I'll let this girl suffer a little. I'll let her know that there's always someone better out there. This kid is the one who can subdue her and is suitable to be her husband. The king thought to himself, after a round of beating, until Yu Qingli could no longer drop any attribute light orbs, Lin Chen finally threw her to the side. He clapped his hands and shrugged. The princess told me to treat Chen Wuming the same way from the start. In a normal battle, this is how I treat my enemies. I wonder if the princess is satisfied? To be honest, I've never seen such a strange request. Host has received 3 high-grade wind energy points, 2 high-grade thunder energy points, 3,000 high-grade battle chi essence points. For high-grade rune energy points, Lin Shun collected the attribute light orbs that were scattered in the air. The attribute values that Yu Qingli had dropped were very high. At this time, Yu Qingli was lying on the ground. Her armor was broken, and her dress was stained with blood. Her white and delicate skin was pale, and she looked pitiful. She was no longer as valiant as before. Yu Qingli was at a loss for words. She looked at Lin Shun with eyes that revealed some fear and a complicated expression. This young man looked elegant, but in reality, he was a beast in battle, domineering, wild, and brutal. No matter how good his swordsmanship was, he didn't seem like a swordsman at all. Cough, cough. I announced that our young friend Jundak Shuai has passed the son-in-law selection convention. Qingli, do you have any objections? Yu Qingli gritted her teeth. No objections. The king waved his hand, and a holy light shrouded Yu Qingli. Her injuries began to quickly heal. The whole place was in an uproar. They had been shocked by Lin Chen's brutal means. Only now did they realize that the 6th princess, Yu Qingli, had been completely defeated. This kid's combat strength is at least on par with the 50,000 genius on the genius list. He's too monstrous. What kind of monsters have the Black Horse Club cultivated? I can't be envious. Just by that movement technique, his strength has surpassed everyone on the genius list. The geniuses on the genius list were envious and amazed. This Jendok Shuai was really strong. No one was convinced. Haha, congratulations. One of my worries has finally been settled. The king chuckled and stood up. He looked straight at Lin Chun and said with a smile, Young friend, this time, wait a minute. At this time, Yu Qingli suddenly spoke again. Everyone looked at her. You can marry me, but you have to follow the rules of the imperial edict. You have to marry my twin sister, seventh royal sister, as well. Yu Qingli's words were shocking. At the mention of the so-called seventh royal sister, everyone's expression changed slightly. Nonsense. What do you take my imperial edict for? The king was enraged. His eyes were fierce and fierce. Lin Chun was a little puzzled. He didn't understand everyone's reaction. According to common sense, wasn't marrying two people a good thing? Why did all the geniuses look like they had seen a ghost? Yu Qingli opened her storage ring and held an old imperial edict in her hand. She smiled faintly and said, Father, a monarch doesn't take his words lightly, right? The king's expression changed slightly when he saw the imperial edict in Yu Qingli's hand. Chapter 959. By the will of the heavens, His Majesty decrees. Today His Majesty decrees that 6th Princess Yu Qingli and 7th Princess Yu Yulan will only marry one person. Yu Qingli spread out the old imperial edict and read out the contents concisely. The king's expression changed slightly. He didn't expect this girl to still have the imperial edict from many years ago. The king once got drunk and had fun. At that time, the two girls were still young. The sisters were born together and their hearts were connected. He promised that they would marry one person and even let him personally issue an imperial edict. At that time, the king thought that it was just a child's nonsense. Coupled with the fact that he was drunk, he doted on the two sisters and issued an imperial edict. He didn't expect Yu Qingli to still have this imperial edict after so many years. If it was a normal situation, the king wouldn't say anything. The king didn't joke and just follow the imperial edict. However, it was different now. 7th Princess Yu Yulan was no longer the same as before. She had encountered an accident that changed her life. Even if she didn't die, her entire person had changed. I didn't expect you to even scheme against me. Is it so difficult for you to find a man? The king's eyes were filled with anger. Yu Qingli clenched her teeth. I don't want to marry a stranger. The father and daughter were about to quarrel when Lin Sun's voice echoed. Your Majesty, there's nothing to say. We, the Black Horse Club, have always been famous for our handsomeness, longevity, and specialty. To me, there's not much difference between one princess and two princesses. When these words came out, everyone present opened their mouths wide. Everyone's first reaction was, is this kid crazy? Could it be that he doesn't know about 7th Princess Yu Yulan's situation? Yu Qingli frowned. Jendok Shuai, do you know what's the situation now? Lin Chun thought, I don't care about your situation. I just want the attribute treasure chest in your dowry. I have a large group of Sage Realm experts chasing after me. I don't care if it's 1 or 2 princesses. Even if it's 100, I have to agree first. Elder sister, let me talk to him. At this time, a crisp voice sounded like the collision of pearls and jade, pleasant to the ear. A woman in a white dress flew through the air. She was wearing a cloak, and her figure was delicate and slender. Her aura was concealed. Many people's expressions turned ugly when they saw this woman. Some of the geniuses on the genius rankings didn't even bother to look at her. Young master, if you had seen me like this, would you still want to marry me and my sister? The woman took off her cloak, revealing a horrifying face. Her facial bones were deformed. One of her eyes was bigger than the other. Her lips were almost invisible due to the parasitic flesh. There was a hook-shaped flesh in front of her nose. If you can accept my sister, then I'm willing to marry you. If you like those ordinary people, then I'll also give you a generous reward. I won't let you participate in this son-in-law selection for nothing. The 6th princess wiped her tears and said seriously to Lin Chun. She noticed that the young man was staring at her sister. So it's you. Lin Chun sighed. This woman was the kind-hearted woman he had met when he first entered the Saint Fu ancient kingdom. The seventh princess's body trembled. She said in a self-deprecating tone, "I have disappointed, young master." "I am sorry, disappointed?" "I am not disappointed." Lin Chen laughed heartily. He didn't have any expectations. Naturally, he wasn't disappointed. He was just a little surprised. "Didn't I say before that people are judged by their appearance?" He looked seriously at the seventh princess and smiled. "But this doesn't stop me from admiring your beautiful soul, right?" Yu Qingli and Yu Yulan trembled. "Ah, hypocrite. Damn it. Is this kid addicted to acting? What a snake. These people from the Black Horse Club are full of bullshit. They even go against their own hearts. Would a man want such a woman?" The geniuses on the genius ranking mocked. Yu Qingli's expression was solemn. "Does young Master Jundak Shui mean that you are willing to accept my sister?" Yu Yulan also felt a strange sense of expectation. She stared at this young master who had once saved her life. She was very nervous. However, Lin Chen continued, "I am only choosing a son-in-law to marry the sixth princess. How can I force the seventh princess to marry me?" The moment he said this, the sisters felt like they had fallen into an ice cellar. "Look at this be asterisk starred. What does he look like? Damn, who was the one who said that one or two more princesses wouldn't be too much? Does he still have any shame? A fence-sitter who swings with the wind. Bah, I despise this kind of trash the most." The geniuses sneered and ridiculed without restraint. Their eyes were full of contempt and disdain. The admiration they had for Lin Chen earlier had vanished without a trace. Chapter 960. Including some ministers and generals, their faces were also very ugly. Some of the people who had followed the sixth princess knew that she had deep sisterly feelings for the seventh princess and was very protective of her. This Jundak Shui said, "I admire your beautiful soul on the surface," and then immediately said, "I'm only here for the sixth princess?" Bullsh asterisk T. Wasn't he here to humiliate her? Get off the stage. You are not qualified to humiliate the seventh princess. The ministers condemned Lin Chen in speech and in writing, cursing and scolding him. The gentle and moving girl in a simple dress was disappointed. How can he say one thing and do another? This young man's character is not very good. Hee. The old woman in black shook her head, and the Qin sisters looked at each other, their faces full of doubts. In their impression, Lin Chen was not such a person. Even the monarch's face became particularly gloomy. Yu Yolan's heart was like a heavy blow, and she didn't know what to say, but she said in a sad and self-deprecating tone, I have made things difficult for the young master. My ugliness has brought trouble to the young master." Yu Qingli's pretty face was furious. Then Lin Chen waved his hand and smiled. "How can it be difficult? I only said that I am here for the sixth princess, but I don't want to force the seventh princess. Whether you want to marry or not is completely up to the princess. And in my opinion, the seventh princess's marriage is not the most important thing now, but to treat the poison on your face." As soon as these words came out, it aroused the anger of the crowd. "Are you mocking my sister's appearance?" Yu Qingli's beautiful eyes were red and bloodshot, and she coldly shouted with a murderous aura, "This Saint Realm poison curse. Even the Saint Realm alchemist that royal father spent a lot of money to invite couldn't do anything about it. How can it be as simple as you to judge with just a few words?" At this time, Lin Chen smiled confidently with a bit of evil charm. "Is that so? Then why don't you let me try? Maybe I can restore the seventh princess's appearance." Lin Chen's words stirred up 1,000 waves. Even Yu Qingli and Yu Yulan were stunned at the same time. As soon as these words came out, the audience was silent at first, and then there was a wave of ridicule and sneers. Is there something wrong with this kid's head? The monarch paid a huge price to invite a first-grade Saint-grade alchemist from the southern domain to personally examine the seventh princess' current situation, but he was still unable to reverse the situation. Does a little brat like him dare to say that he's more outstanding than a Tier 8 alchemist? A hint of anger appeared on the monarch's face. Initially, he thought that this young man was not bad. His temperament and strength were top-notch. Now that he looked at him, his character was simply full of nonsense. Hee, a bunch of short-sighted fellows. Lin Chen couldn't be bothered with these noisy fellows. He looked straight at the monarch and said with a smile, "Monarch, if I'm not wrong, even if the seventh princess's curse is broken, it won't be able to recover her poisoned facial features, right? And if the detoxification fails, it's very likely that it will cause her death, right?" Lin Chen's words caused the monarch's body to tremble. Yu Qingli's fury came to an abrupt end. This answer was exactly the same as the answer of the Saint Great Alchemist he had invited. Only the monarch and the two sisters knew the answer to this question. It was precisely because of the huge risk that the Saint Great Alchemist admitted that the success rate was less than 10%. For less than a 10% chance to gamble his daughter's life, he had to pay a huge price to invite a Saint Great Alchemist to take action. Even if he was the monarch, he couldn't afford it. Could this brat also be an alchemist? How'd he see through it? Our Black Horse Club's endurance is hard enough, and our hearts are set on fire. Specialties are specialties, and being handsome is just a standard. The handsome guys who can join our club are all Tier 8 alchemists. It's a small matter. Lin Chen rubbed his chin and smiled coquettishly. Can't say it's a small matter. It seems a bit crazy. It's a medium matter. Many people snorted disdainfully. Tier 8 alchemists on average? Dreaming in the middle of the day? I think he's gone crazy. Has he gone crazy for being a fence-sitter? Saint Great Alchemists are even rarer than saints. I've seen a saint once, but I haven't seen a legendary Saint Great Alchemist with my own eyes. Does he think they're cabbages? The genius is ridiculed because Tier 8 alchemists on average was 2F** king ridiculous. Even storytellers wouldn't dare to boast like this. Only a small number of Tier 4 forces would have a Saint Great Alchemist overseeing them. Even after countless eras, the sacred Fu ancient country had not cultivated a single Saint Great Alchemist. Can you really cure Yulan? At this time, Yu Qingli excitedly grabbed Lin Chen's hand and smiled confidently. I'm 80% sure. Even if I fail, I can protect 7th Princess's life. However, the materials will have to be provided by you guys. No problem, little friend. As long as you can remove Yulan's poison curse, we'll take care of the materials. The monarch had also spoken. Just based on Lin Chen's ability to see through Yulan's poison, he must be extraordinary. One had to know that the Saint Great Alchemist hired with a large sum of money had spent 3 days to observe Yulan before coming to this conclusion. There's another condition. I need 7 days of treatment. During this time, 6th Princess must follow me throughout the treatment. Her presence is indispensable to the recovery of 7th Princess. As for the result of the son-in-law selection, after the treatment, 7th Princess will decide for herself. Lin Chen spoke cheerfully and wittily, revealing the confidence of being in control of the entire situation. This caused Yulan's eyes to be filled with new hope. Could she really be restored to her original state? No problem, we promise you. It just so happens that 7 days later is our 100,000th birthday. Even if you don't succeed, we won't blame you. However, you must ensure 7th Princess's safety. No problem. Lin Chen and the monarch hit it off. All the ministers and geniuses on the genius list were puzzled. Why would the monarch of a country, trust this kid so much? Combat strength, potential, and alchemy ability were 2 completely different things. Let's wait for the day of the birthday banquet to watch a good show. This kid talks big. I want to see what skills he has. The son-in-law selection ceremony temporarily ended. The results were announced again at the emperor's birthday banquet, causing everyone to be surprised. No one would have thought that the son-in-law selection ceremony would end like this. Why did Lin Chen suddenly stay? According to the original plan, he should have taken the attribute treasure chest and the dowry as quickly as possible and then fled. However, in today's battle, he was surprised to see that in the depths of the palace, there were many attribute light balls. In other words, there might be a large number of attribute light balls in the depths of the palace. He planned to stay first and act according to the circumstances. On the other hand, he did have a way to treat Yu Yulan. However, he needed to consume Long Qingguo and spend some effort. This was because he had a technique that the entire sacred boundary did not have. The black-clothed old woman and the plain-dressed young girl stared in the direction Lin Chen left. The old woman and the young girl were filled with doubt and curiosity. Even a first-grade saint-grade alchemist was helpless against a problem. Could he solve it? Chapter 9:61. Inside the Red Moon Palace, the king had something important to do and left temporarily. The sixth princess brought Lin Chen's group, Yu Yulan, and 2 imperial physicians at the peak of his 7th rank. These 2 are, Yu Qingli asked the 2 women behind Lin Chen. We are the personal maids of the Jundak, Shuai's young master. Qi Miao quickly waved her hands. Although Lin Chen had disguised them, their temperament and figure were extraordinary. Yu Qingli saw through the clues at a glance. However, she didn't expose them. Instead, she asked Lin Chen, "What is the method you're talking about?" "My method has several steps. Now, sixth princess, you go and prepare these materials first. Also, remember to use clear glazed jade to carve your face." Without another word, Lin Chen carved a large list of medicinal ingredients and threw it to Yu Qingli. Although he had 2 plants of fortune at their peak, no one would complain about having too many resources. Yu Qingli took the list of medicinal ingredients and frowned slightly. The expressions of the 2 imperial physicians at the peak of the 7th rank changed slightly. The items on Lin Chen's list were priceless. None of them were ordinary. She didn't question the need for medicinal ingredients. Instead, she asked curiously, "What do you want my face for?" Lin Chen shrugged. "Of course it's useful. Otherwise, do you think I have nothing better to do? I'm a shameless person." The corners of everyone's mouths twitched. "Prepare as fast as you can. I'm going to start treating the 6th princess." Lin Chen waved his hand. Yu Qingli said, "The 2 imperial physicians here are the most. Let them stay where they are. If there are any problems, my 2 maids will assist me." Lin Chen's old and experienced appearance made the 2 imperial physicians angry. Seeing his confident appearance, Yu Qingli didn't get angry and try to persuade him. She believed that people with strength had their own temperament. This Jundak Shuai was the same. To Yu Qingli, fighting was one of the easiest ways to understand others. During her battle with Lin Chen, she could feel that the other party was frank and straightforward. Even if he wasn't a gentleman, he definitely wasn't an evil person. In the end, only Yu Yulan, Lin Chen, the Qin sisters, and an imperial physician were left in the room. No matter what, the 7th princess was still a member of the royal family. It was impossible to completely hand her over to Lin Chen alone. What if he had some secret plans? "Young master, what should I do?" Yu Yulan nervously asked. "Eat it and go to sleep. When it's done, you'll be as beautiful as ever." Lin Chen handed her a pill. This was a top-grade 7th-order pill that Lin Chen had refined in advance with his avatar in the peach blossom pouch. It could numb the senses of the entire body. Yu Yulan nervously swallowed the pill. Not long after, she felt dizzy and began to lie down. The imperial physician's expression changed slightly. He wanted to say something, but when he saw the serious expression on Lin Chen's face, he swallowed his words. Whoosh! Lin Chen summoned all of his avatars and disguised them as Jundak Shuai and appeared in the secret room. This is the Destiny Plant Pouch. The imperial physician was shocked. Lin Chen and all of his avatars were fully focused as they took out countless silver needles from the storage ring. These silver needles were as thin as hair, and there were tens of thousands of them. The imperial physician roughly counted that there were at least 60,000 needles. Lin Chen formed a seal with both hands and controlled the 60,000 silver needles with his spiritual power. He slowly pierced them into the purplish-green flesh on the 7th princess' face that was swollen due to the poison. Just controlling so many silver needles at the same time required the spiritual power of a half-step saint to be able to do it. He first activated the Fire Calamity Battle Chi. Chi, Chi, Chi. A series of purplish-green, poisonous fog rose up. The imperial physician was shocked. What are you doing? This will kill the seventh princess. How could this be a method? Simply burning the poison would also burn the seventh princess' head, because the poison had already penetrated deep in her head and not just her face. The imperial physicians had already tried this method a long time ago, but it was impossible. Damn it, shut up. If you continue to be noisy, get out. Lin Shan was highly focused as he shouted coldly and shocked the imperial physician. The fire calamity battle chi in the silver needles controlled by him and his avatars was very limited, but every needle pierced and burned a small wound deep into the seventh princess' face. Whoosh! Lin Shun and his avatars slowly pierced the needles deeper into the seventh princess' face, leaving behind 60,000 small wounds. Apart from her eyes, the rest of her face was covered. Lin Shun then immediately poured his clear jade dew into his cheeks through the minimally invasive opening. Whoosh! Whoosh! Intense corrosive smoke immediately rose from the seventh princess' face. The clear jade dew had the effect of purifying the impurities in one's spiritual power. The reason why this poison curse followed the seventh princess was because the poison had locked onto her spiritual power. Lin Shun continued to control the silver needles, urging the fire calamity battle chi to burn. Time passed by minute. Miraculously, the purple and blue abscesses on the seventh princess' face began to disappear and reduce. He had truly achieved the effect of removing the poison. However, the imperial physician was sweating profusely. Because the seventh princess' life force was gradually decreasing, the poison curse was being removed, and the seventh princess' life was about to enter the gates of hell. A day and a night passed. Yu Qingli used many treasures from the treasury, and when she returned, she found that Yu Yulan was on the verge of death, and her face was severely burned. Not a single piece of flesh was intact. It was extremely miserable, causing Yu Qingli's heart to tremble. If not for Lin Chen's serious expression, she would have gone crazy. At the last moment, Lin Shun let the Qin sisters grind long Qingguo meat and let the unconscious seventh princess swallow it. The other half of the colorful long Qingguo meat was mixed with 4 kinds of treasures and covered the seventh princess' face. A miraculous thing happened. Her poison curse was slowly being removed by Lin Shun, but her life was being saved by long Qingguo, and her burned cheeks began to magically grow new granulation and tender flesh. Success! Young master is really a god. The imperial physician was shocked and overjoyed. Yu Qingli cried tears of joy. It was not over yet. Lin Shan smiled confidently. Next is the main event. As I said, my goal is to restore the seventh princess. Yu Qingli's delicate body trembled. Restore? Could it be that her sister could really be restored? Not to mention restoring her. Even if she had the appearance of a normal person, Yu Qingli would be satisfied. Her sister had suffered too much because of this poison curse. At this time, Yu Yulan was still unconscious and did not feel any pain. Knives! Lin Shan stretched out his hand, and the sisters immediately handed over 6 knives as thin as cicada's wings. It's time to show the real technique. Lin Shun and his doppelgangers revealed a coquettish smile. Holding delicate knives in their hands, the 6 of them danced agilely and precisely on the new granules that had grown because of the burns of the seventh princess, cutting off some of the damaged bones and granules. The energy of the long Qing fruit was enough to regenerate her. What technique is this? Yu Qingli revealed an unparalleled shock. She had never seen such an exquisite technique. It could actually modify a person's appearance. Chapter 962. This is our Black Horse Club's divine plastic surgery technique. Lin Chen smiled. The knife did not leave any marks. The gentle and strong vitality of the Longqing fruit healed Princess Qi's face again and again. Under Lin Chen's molding, a devastatingly beautiful face was gradually taking shape. That's right, Lin Chen planned to use plastic surgery to restore seventh princess from the beginning. Removing the poison curse was not a problem for him. He had the help of his doppelganger. Even if he was not a saint-level alchemist, he could still control the spirit like a saint-level alchemist. And what he wanted was a perfect restoration. Lin Shun had learned many knife techniques and also learned Vanishing Shadow flying knife. His knife control skills were far beyond the level of ordinary plastic surgery. Secondly, Long Qingwo was a sacred healing item. It could regenerate flesh and bones, and its energy was gentle and majestic. It could perfectly heal the face that had been destroyed after removing the poison curse. When a new flesh buds grew, Lin Shun could restore Yu Yolan's facial features to the most perfect state. And after that, there would be no sequelae. Her cheeks would be as pure and natural as before, because even the new skin and flesh buds would be Yu Yolan's own. Perfect, just like this in the end. When Lin Shun put away the knife, he took a piece of clear glass jade that Six Princess had prepared in advance and stuck it on Yu Yolan's face. Looking at it now, Yu Yolan's embryonic face only had flat flesh buds. Nothing could be seen. But Long Qingwo's energy would heal her step by step. This piece of clear jade was engraved with Yu Qingli's facial features. After it was completely restored, most of the new flesh buds would grow and restore according to the template, and finally take shape. Lin Shun covered Yu Yolan's face with a layer of veil and cloth, and smiled indifferently. Done. Let Seventh Princess rest for a few days. Don't remove the gauze for the time being, so as to avoid accidents when the face is restored. The two old imperial physicians were so excited that they couldn't speak. It could be said that it was an eye-opener. Yu Qingli looked grateful. After dismissing the two old imperial physicians and leaving the secret room, she turned to face Lin Shun. Thank you, Zhendok Shuai. I sincerely apologize to you for my previous offensive actions. Yu Qingli thanked with tears in her eyes. With Yu Qingli's insight, how could she not see the power of Lin Chen's supreme skill? At the very least, her sister's poison curse had been removed and her life had been preserved. As for her appearance, she would be satisfied even if she could only revert to the appearance of an ordinary person. He didn't dare to hope for too much. He's always full of surprises. The Qin sisters were amazed. Qin Jian stared at the side of Lin Chen's face with a complicated expression. From a moment the two sisters met this young man, there was no ordinary moment. Every action he took was unique, but every time he did it, it was shocking. Cut the crap. You can't thank me with words. Lin Chen put away his clone and smiled evilly. He lifted the sixth princess's chin and asked, How do you want to thank me? Yu Qingli's cheeks flushed red. Looking at the young man's deep eyes, there was a hint of mystery hidden in them from the beginning to the end. It was unfathomable, but made her want to find out more about him. Feeling the strange gazes of the two sisters behind him, Lin Chen coughed and said, I'm just joking. Let me ask you, where's your dowry? Take me to get it. Dowry? If it's the dowry, it's still in the palace square. It's a spatial barrier set up by Father. I can't open it. Recently, Father has been out on a tour, so we'll have to wait a few days. Even Yu Qingli didn't know why, but the moment he asked about her dowry, she felt a sense of loss in her heart. He really didn't come for her, and he didn't have any interest in her at all? F***CK. What time is this old emperor going out on a tour? It's been 3 days. What if those Sage Realm experts have already come out from the Island of Darkness? Lin Chen's mouth twitched a few times. He then said seriously, Then it shouldn't be a problem for you to bring me into the palace, right? Yu Qingli looked at Lin Chen doubtfully. No problem. With my authority, I can bring you in and out of the palace freely. In the past, Yu Qingli wouldn't easily bring people in and out of the palace. But no matter what Lin Chen's background was, at least he saved Yu Yulan. Just this kindness was enough for her to repay Lin Chen with everything she had. Because only Yu Qingli knew that the reason why her sister Yu Yulan was poisoned was to protect her. If it wasn't for her sister's kindness, the one who would be poisoned would be her. After settling down the Qin sisters and Yu Yulan, Yu Qingli left with Lin Chen. Fuxing Ancient Country, Saint Palace, inside a saint monument. This place was a forbidden area. But today, Yu Qingli took a huge risk to bring Lin Chen into the saint monument. This place had once buried the fallen sages of the ancient country's history. It was extremely cold and eerie. Lin Chun was overjoyed. This place was filled with attribute light balls, and there were even a large number of rare spirit attribute light balls. One light ball was one high-grade spirit point. He ferociously picked them up, touching the ground, or summoning the Dragon Emperor to transform into his human form to collect the attribute light balls with him. This scene caused Yu Qingli's face to be filled with astonishment. Host has received 1850 strengthening points, 4 intermediate heavens path points, 11 advanced cultivation technique soul essences, 4 advanced fire attribute energy, 3 advanced light attribute energy, 3 advanced lightning attribute energy, 7 advanced spirit, 5 advanced rune energy. Lin Chun randomly touched the ground and obtained over 120 advanced rune energy and 30 advanced spirit points. His advanced elemental energy had also increased greatly, and his strength had soared. This was an extremely good harvest. Lin Chin's spirit points had also increased, and he had already begun to advance towards the half-step saint level. Now that I have 342 rune energy and 9 other sure kill skills, I won't have to rely on the Ares wristband to fight against a saint. Lin Chin chuckled. This time, the Fuxing ancient country's harvest was not small. That direction is the orange crystal's light? Lin Chin did not know what to do as he sprinted forward. Sixth Princess Yu Qingli was puzzled. What is he trying to do? When he arrived in front of a saint monument, the dark orange attribute treasure chest started to spin. Lin Chin excitedly grabbed it. Host has opened the orange crystal treasure chest. Half-orange grade battle skill. Skywriting first and second scroll. Hiss. Another half-orange grade battle skill. Lin Chin looked through it slightly. This was a metal elemental spear battle skill. Metal elemental. Main attack, secondary defense, indestructible, and extremely sharp. The first scroll of sky riding could be used to cultivate the sky riding metal energy to protect oneself. The second scroll was the offensive sky riding divine spear. Staying was indeed the right choice. This is equivalent to obtaining 2.5 orange grade battle skills at the same time. Lin Chun was overjoyed. Luckily, he did not blindly choose to leave after taking the dowry. Then, something that surprised Lin Chun even more happened. The divine dragon blood jade that had been sealed in the storage ring all this time was actually emitting a faint glow at the same time. The divine dragon blood jade is reacting. Lin Chun took out a piece of divine dragon blood jade from the storage ring. The blood jade emitted a murderous aura and a domineering dragon shadow. It was actually reacting to this saint monument. Who is buried in this tombstone? Did he have any special constitution or bloodline when he was alive? Lin Chun hurriedly asked Yu Qingli. She looked at the monument for a moment and said, "It's the 1205th King. It said that he has the bloodline of the ancient Taishi dragon." Lin Chun was stunned. Ancient Taishi dragon. Chapter 963. The inheritance of a dragon god blood jade is most likely related to the ancient Taishi dragon. Then, my next bloodline attribute must be the ancient Taishi dragon bloodline in order to obtain the inheritance of the divine dragon blood jade. Lin Chun then asked Yu Qingli for all the records of the 1205th Emperor and carefully studied them. When he returned to the Red Moon Palace, the 7th Princess Yu Yulan had already woken up. "Young Master Jundok Shuai, am I really all right? I feel an itch on my face." Yu Yulan, who was wrapped in bandages, excitedly held Lin Chen's hands. "And I can assure you that the princess's curse has been completely removed. After a few days of recovery, the princess will obtain a new appearance," Lin Chun said with a smile. Yu Yulan felt like she was in a dream. Being able to remove the curse was already a blessing. Obtaining a new appearance? She had never even thought of such a thing. After comforting the 7th princess, Lin Chun found the 6th princess and entrusted the Qin Miao, Earth's sisters, with an escape route. With Yu Qingli's strength and cultivation, it was most suitable to bring them to the spatial passage of the sacred Fu ancient kingdom. And now was not the time for Lin Chun to return to the mystic domain. The mystic domain had most likely stirred up a storm, and the saints had already come out. He wanted to travel through the southern region and find a spatial passage to other regions. The sacred Fu ancient kingdom only had a spatial passage to the mystic domain. At night, Lin Chun went into seclusion. He opened the peach blossom pouch and poured all the heavenly one holy water he had collected in the name of healing into the pure gold tree seed. It quickly nourished and grew. With the heavenly one holy water from the 6 princesses' dowry and the energy from the gold saint origin coins, it should be able to quickly grow the pure gold tree seed to its growth stage. System, I want to strengthen the movement technique Dragon Flash. Lin Chun currently had 5.66 million points. After spending 950,000 points and experiencing more than 10 failures, he finally managed to upgrade the half-orange light attribute movement skill, Dragon Flash, to plus 13. Overall upgrade, 240%. Lin Chun needed to upgrade the plus 15 strengthening ability. Unless it was absolutely beneficial, he would not easily strengthen it. The strength of Dragon Flash had been perfectly displayed in the battle with the 6th princess. It was an essential escape method for Lin Chun. System, I want to practice sky control. Consuming 29 advanced cultivation method soul essences to fuse cultivation memories. For the next 3 days, Lin Chun remained in seclusion, occasionally checking on the 7th princess recovery. On the 7th day, a strange phenomenon appeared in the peach blossom plant pouch. Little Shadow had broken through. Its appearance changed from a black cloud to a pitch-black dragon with monstrous devil will. It was 15 meters long and had just begun to show its power. For the first time, the advantage of combining the bloodlines of the Demon Clan, the Dragon Clan, and the Dark Shadow Clan was revealed in its appearance. Not bad, little guy. Can you break through the space seal of the Sage Realm now? Lin Chun asked. Little Shadow left the peach blossom plant pouch and attached itself to Lin Chun's clothes. It transmitted its consciousness. Below the 3rd level of the Saint Realm, there shouldn't be a problem. Lin Chun smiled and said, "Looks like you'll be able to speak after a while." At this time, an old man's voice came from outside the door. Young Master Jundak Shuai. His Majesty has heard of young Master Jundak Shuai's prowess. His Majesty has urgently issued an imperial edict to reward young Master Jundak Shuai greatly. He has also instructed us to bring young Master Jundak Shuai to the Saint Palace to choose the reward and the 6th princess dowry. This imperial edict was equivalent to directly recognizing Lin Chun as the emperor's son-in-law. Little Shadow hid in Lin Chun's clothes and smiled. Finally, I can see what treasures are in the attribute treasure chest in the dowry. Lin Chun pushed open the door and followed the old man all the way to the basement of the Holy Palace to build the Saint Palace. Inside the Saint Palace were all cultivation methods, secret manuals, and battle techniques accumulated by the Fu Saint country over countless eras. There were a total of 3 levels. The old man actually led Lin Chun all the way to the 3rd level. There were no more than 10 cultivation methods here. All of them were half-orange rank cultivation methods. According to the rules of the son-in-law selection ceremony, the emperor's son-in-law could also choose a half-orange rank cultivation method in addition to the dowry. Half-orange rank saber technique Burning Sun, half-orange rank defensive battle technique Black Demon Body Tempering Art, half-orange rank battle technique Demon Saint's Furious Finger, half-orange rank hammer technique, 17 absolutes. Lin Chun read through all the half-orange rank cultivation methods and couldn't help but click his tongue in amazement. The king of Fu Saint country was really generous. He even took out half-orange rank cultivation methods for the emperor's son-in-law selection. Most 3rd rank sects only had 1 or 2 half-orange rank battle techniques. In the end, Lin Chun chose the half-orange rank archery technique, Lucky Feather. His sword techniques, saber techniques, physique refinement techniques, spiritual power, spear techniques, and assassination techniques all had half-orange rank cultivation methods. Only his archery technique was lacking. In Lin Chen's hands, a half-orange rank cultivation method could unleash the power of at least an orange rank battle technique. Then, the old man led Lin Chen to the treasury and activated the king's interspatial jade slip to remove the spatial barrier. If the emperor's son-in-law doesn't have enough space in his storage ring, when the old man took out his storage ring and smiled, Lin Chen waved his hand, and all the dowry went into the peach blossom plant pouch. Providence plant pouch? As expected of the emperor's son-in-law, his foundation is really strong. The old man was secretly shocked. Host has opened a 5 light supreme treasure chest and 3 orange crystal treasure chests. Received orange rank passive talent fragment. Supreme God possession, 2/4 for 100,000 enhancement points. 1,000 high-grade cultivation method essence points, 2,000 mid-grade heaven's path points. Supreme God possession fragment. That's great. It's almost there to upgrade the enhancement ability. If I can upgrade the 9 calamities of creation to +15, it might really be comparable to an orange rank cultivation method. Before Lin Chen could finish rejoicing, more than 10 beautiful maidservants walked in, bowing slightly. Emperor's son-in-law, please take a bath and change your clothes. Lin Chen was stunned. Oh my god, I forgot that I'm the emperor's son-in-law today. I've never thought of being the emperor's son-in-law. I heard that there will be many Saint Realm cultivators attending the king's 100,000th birthday celebration. Brother Chen, I'll steal a bunch of attribute points before running away. How wonderful. If Lin Chen ran away secretly, it would definitely bring shame to the Saint Fu ancient kingdom. But he had cured the 7th princess of her curse, so he didn't owe anyone anything. After all, he had never planned to be a good Samaritan. At night, in the palace square, thousands of sects came and presented their gifts. The entire square was packed with people. There were envoys from various countries, prime ministers, marshals, and even the king himself. There were even old monsters who had not appeared for a long time, and even Saint Realm cultivators. Even the genius ranking list geniuses had gathered. It was a scene rarely seen in 1,000 years. The Saint Fu ancient kingdom's strength has increased by quite a bit. This guy is purposely using the birthday celebration to show off his country's strength. Haha, I heard that the 6th princess of the Saint Fu ancient kingdom has found someone she likes. I didn't think that they would actually find someone who could defeat the #1 genius in the history of the Saint Fu ancient kingdom. 5 old monsters sat together, laughing and chatting. Each of them had their own thoughts, but their eyes were filled with curiosity and anticipation. There were tens of thousands of tables in the palace. Those who could enter were either rich, noble, or powerful cultivators. Ha ha ha! I thank all of you for coming. As a heroic laugh rang out, 2 figures stepped out from the dragon throne. The king of the Saint Fu ancient kingdom, as well as the Saint Realm state preceptor. Chapter 964. That's the current monarch of Fu Saint Nation. Hearing about him is not as good as meeting him in person. Becoming a saint in 100,000 years, he is indeed a genius. The envoys from various nations and sects were secretly shocked as they sized up this new monarch. The monarch had just taken his seat when another announcement sounded. Prince Jing Fian of Yin Nation has arrived. Prince Fong Jian of Qingyu Nation has arrived. Prince Mo Ling Xiao of Longyang Nation has arrived. When the names were announced one by one, everyone was shocked. Ranked 51400 on the genius list, Jing Fian and 51398 Fong Jian. Even Mo Ling Xiao of 50,500 is here. I heard that they were Princess Yu Qingli's #1 pursuers back then. They must be unhappy and want to learn from our saint's son-in-law. There will be a good show this time. The moment the 3 princes appeared, their auras overshadowed all the other geniuses on the genius list. They were all the top geniuses on the genius list, and none of the geniuses present could compare to them. After the 3 princes greeted the monarch, They each took a seat, and the atmosphere was tense. The old woman in black brought the girl in a simple dress into the hall and sent a voice transmission to the monarch. "Brat you, did you offend some forces?" The monarch and the grand tutor looked at each other in confusion. "Don't blame me for not reminding you. There are several Saint Realm cultivators who don't have invitations at your birthday banquet today. They also hid their auras very well. They should be Saint Realm assassins. One of them is even seriously injured. I'm afraid it's not easy to sneak into your birthday banquet despite being seriously injured." The old woman's warning shocked the monarch, but his expression did not change. He and the grand tutor looked around. There were saints who sneaked into the banquet. If they were willing to get injured to sneak in, things might not be so simple today. As the monarch of a nation, the monarch could not be weak and could not ask the guests to leave. He could only act according to the situation. "Grand tutor, go and inform the patriarch." The monarch sent a voice transmission. The grand tutor nodded seriously and disappeared in a flash. Just as the grand tutor left, the eunuch's announcement sounded again. "Saint's son-in-law has arrived. Sixth princess has arrived." Countless guests were shocked and immediately focused their eyes. Two figures slowly walked out of the imperial palace. The beauty wore a bright red robe, and she was gorgeous and graceful. Her skin was tender, her brows were thin, and her snow-white face carried a smile. She had bright eyes and white teeth, and a strand of coldness and nobility was emitted from her bones. Her pair of slender and round legs looked down upon the countless women present here, and she was an outstanding beauty. "This is the sixth princess." My God, the last time I was lucky enough to see her was when she was armed. If the sixth princess were to put on her armor, she would be the future martial saint of Fu Saint country. If she were to put on her makeup, she would be a beauty that could topple countries and cities. Many men were stunned by this scene. When everyone saw the young man next to the beauty, their eyes lit up. The young man's long hair was tied up, and he wore a red robe with a crown on his head. His back was straight, and his face was like jade. His eyes were deep and tranquil, and the corners of his mouth held a confident but not conceited smile. When he smiled and nodded his head, he exuded a handsome and unrestrained charm that made people exclaim in admiration. What a handsome and confident young man. The two of them walked side by side, a beautiful young man, beautiful and elegant, a perfect match. The appearance of Jundok Shuai caused quite a stir. "That's the Lord Saint's son-in-law. He's so handsome. His name is Jundok Shuai. How can he not be handsome? I heard that the Lord Saint's son-in-law already has the battle prowess of the 50,000th genius ranking. He and our princess are a match made in heaven. Quite a match made in heaven." Countless officials and envoys discussed among themselves. The second princess, who was sitting next to the monarch, was gentle and charming. She smiled and said, "So this is sixth sister's son-in-law. He is indeed a dragon among men. Even I could not see through him." The first prince, who had a chiseled face, was even more concise, calm, and collected, with the aura of an overlord. The more the king looked at this young man, the more he liked him. He couldn't help but sigh at his good luck. "Father, greetings, your majesty." The two of them walked up to the king and bowed slightly. Good. Dragon and Phoenix are auspicious. My 100,000th birthday, and I have a Lord Saint's son-in-law. What a double blessing. The king was overjoyed. At this moment, a cold-looking young man in a jade robe stepped forward. This young man was the Prince of Yin Nation, Jing Fian. "Your Majesty, our Yin Nation has vast lands and abundant resources. Today, we specially present a birthday gift." He opened the green box in his hand, and the bright light stunned everyone present. A section of green bearded ginseng was lying quietly in the green box, full of spiritual energy and strange phenomena. It's the green ginseng, an 8th-level treasure that can only be found by chance. It is said that directly consuming it can extend the lifespan of a saint by 20,000 years. This Yin Nation is really generous. Some envoys and the genius ranking gasped. It wasn't over yet. "Haha, our Qing Nation also has something for you, your majesty." The young man in white held a fan and laughed heartily, exuding the aura of an overlord. It was Prince Fong Jian of the Qingyu nation. He presented a green scroll and said with a smile, "This is the 8th level forging manual of the Qingyu sacred sword. My father specially ordered me to give it to you, your majesty. As the saying goes, the sacred sword deserves a new king." Gasp! The sound of people sucking in a breath of cold air rose and fell one after another. Sacred artifact creation scroll? That was too extravagant. Although their country had already spent thousands of years to produce 2 to 3 sets of the Qingyu sacred sword scrolls, this amount of wealth was still shocking to the world. Ha ha! The two of you are really generous. How can our Lonyang nation fall behind? We specially present an 8th level embryonic pill to your majesty. The stocky Mo Lingxiao also stood up and opened the box. The radiance of the sacred embryonic pill shone in all directions. Oh my god, even an 8th level embryonic pill is out. Are these guys crazy? No, their gift this time is not so simple. These 3 princes used to be the #1 suitor of the 6th princess. Some of the high-ranking officials secretly cursed. The ranking geniuses were already shocked speechless. Ha, these guys are quite interesting. Let's wait for a good show. I'm also very interested in that young man. At the VIP table specially set up for the saints, the invited saints all saw through it, but did not say anything. Yes, I'm very touched by your kind intentions. The king smiled on the surface, but cursed in his heart. This group of brats was here to cause trouble. They were clearly targeting his holy son-in-law. Sure enough, after the 3 princes made their move, Prince Jing Fian of the Yan nation said with a faint smile, "It's said that this Jundak Shuai's son-in-law has an extraordinary background. Today is your father-in-law's birthday. Brother, don't tell me you didn't prepare a gift. If you do, can you take it out and let us broaden our horizons?" Fong Jian of the Qingyu nation immediately put on a serious expression and said, "Your Excellency Fian, this brother of the Jundak Shuai comes from a sect that claims to have an average 8th level alchemist. His gift must be extraordinary. Am I right, handsome brother?" Mo Lingxiao did not say anything and simply looked at Lin Shan with a cold smile. Everyone stared at Lin Shan. Some were curious, some were expectant, some were sneering and disdainful. Most of them were not optimistic about Lin Shan. The gifts of the 3 princes were each more valuable than the last. As the son-in-law of the emperor, he should at least present a congratulatory gift of equal value. Otherwise, he would be weaker than them. At least in terms of style, he would lose by more than 1 level. Ha ha! To everyone's surprise, the Jundak Shuai looked up to the sky and laughed. The corners of his mouth lifted slightly. When he looked at the 3 princes, he waved his finger and laughed. "The 3 of you. Vulgar, very vulgar, very vulgar, 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 so vulgar that I laugh out loud, so vulgar that I can't stand it anymore, so vulgar that it's a disgrace." The whole place was suddenly greeted by a strange silence. Chapter 965. Everyone was dumbstruck. This Jundak Shuai really didn't make a sound, but once he did, it was shocking. He actually said that the 3 princes' gifts were unbearably vulgar. So vulgar that he laughed out loud? Oh my god. One had to know that even some saints who had just entered the saint realm might not be able to afford the gifts of the 3 princes. An 8th grade embryonic pill and a scroll to make a saint artifact. Who would dare to use these things as gifts without the support of an ancient sect? How could he describe such a gift as embarrassing? There was no limit to how arrogant he could be. Many people subconsciously felt their hearts twitch a few times. If such gifts were disgraceful, wouldn't they have to dig a hole and bury themselves in it? Ha ha! Interesting. You are very interesting. It seems that the gift prepared by the holy son-in-law is unique in the world. Today, I want to broaden my horizons. Today, I want to see what kind of gift this Jundak Shuai can bring out that is more valuable than my 8th grade embryonic pill. The 3 princes laughed mockingly. revealing their sharpness, and aimed directly at Lin Chun. Lin Chun smiled lightly and said, "In this world, the things that can be bought with money are just ordinary things. Am I right, Your Majesty?" Lin Chun asked the monarch with a smile. The monarch broke out in a cold sweat. What was this holy son-in-law doing? Wasn't he putting him on the spot? "You are right, holy son-in-law." The monarch's expression did not change as he nodded. In fact, he had already secretly begun to think of a way to smooth things over for Lin Chun. The first prince looked deeply at Lin Chun. The second princess rested her chin on her hand with great interest. She instinctively sensed that this young man was not so simple. Sitting to the side, Yu Qingli was anxious. How can he be so reckless? All eyes were on Lin Chun. Even the Sage Realm experts were interested in him. Could it be that he had prepared some unique gift? "Everyone, the present that I'm about to present will be one of a kind in this world. It's a treasure that only the Black Horse Club can present. Please make room for me." Lin Chun had some of the banquet tables in the plaza vacate an empty space and ordered the eunuchs to set up a high platform. Everyone raised their heads in anticipation. What was he trying to do? Lin Chun waved his hand and said with a smile as the moonlight shone on the stage, "Men, bring out my zither." "Jean?" Everyone at the scene was baffled. "Don't tell me you want to offer a song? No matter how awesome your song is, it's useless. What other people gave were genuine treasures, and you gave a song?" Jing Fian sneered, deliberately mystifying and showy. Fang Jian shook his head and laughed. "It seems that I have overestimated him. No matter how good the song is, what's the use?" Mo Ling Xiao crossed his arms, his face full of disdain. Sun Yuer asked curiously, "Grandma, the old woman in black stared at Lin Chun with interest. "This little guy doesn't look like a reckless person. Let's watch a good show." Lin Chun clapped his hands as an expensive zither was brought up. "Next, let's welcome 7th Princess Yu Yulan to the stage." Boom! As soon as he said this, everyone was shocked. 7th Princess Yu Yulan? That was the extremely ugly and disgusting princess who was cursed and had her facial features ruined by poison. Many sects and holy empires knew about this princess's deeds. This was because the Holy Fu Ancient Empire had personally invited a rank 8 alchemist for her. Whoosh! The curtain was pushed open, and Qin Juyan and Qin Miao appeared with a lady in white with a gauze on her face. The 3 ladies walked up the high platform in the plaza, and everyone was puzzled. Some of the Holy Empire's envoys even started to frown with disdain. Wasn't it disgusting to invite this disgusting princess to such an occasion? Even a rank 1 saint alchemist couldn't do anything about her poison curse. It was said that only a rank 4 saint alchemist could remove it. A 4th grade saint grade alchemist. This level was simply like a great Buddha. None of the forces present were able to move him. I didn't expect Lord Holy Son-in-Law to put on an ugly duckling show for us. Do you want everyone present to be unable to attend the banquet? Jing Fian couldn't help but sneer. He had seen the 7th princess's ugly side before. What he meant was that he wanted everyone present to be unable to attend the banquet. Lin Chun smiled. "Shut your mouth and watch quietly." "You?" Jing Fian's mouth twitched. Lin Chun stepped onto the high platform and stood beside the nervous and trembling 7th princess. He held her hand and said with a smile, "Don't worry, I will definitely do what I promised you." Lin Chun looked around and said with a smile, "The present I want to give to the king is not that kind of ordinary gift. This is a big gift from the Black Horse Club to the king. Please accept it." The hand holding the veil gently pulled, and the gauze wrapped around the 7th princess was removed. Some people had already closed their eyes and didn't want to look at the extremely ugly 7th princess. However, the next moment, everyone was shocked. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Some of the high-ranking officials stood up at almost the same time. Even the sages who were present were moved by this. The whole place fell into a strange silence. When those who closed their eyes opened their eyes in confusion and saw the beautiful face, their jaws almost dropped to the ground. The king suddenly stood up, his whole body trembling. The sixth princess covered her face and cried. A ray of moonlight shone on the beauty's face. Her expression was slightly nervous, but she was so beautiful that it was suffocating. Her beautiful face was tender and rosy, and her eyebrows were like the distant mountains in the spring of February. Her pair of ethereal and gentle eyes were flowing with ripples, and her nose was as exquisite and delicate as mutton jade. Her thin lips were like a dot of red, and her slender and delicate figure was reflected on her white dress by the faint moonlight, revealing an otherworldly beauty. Her black hair was like a waterfall, and her white dress was covered with moonlight. She was like a fairy under the moonlight, gentle and moving. Her gentle eyebrows were like water, and she was like a banished fairy. The beauty looked at the past, and with one glance, she could topple a city, and with another, she could topple a country. That night, the moonlight and the stars were especially bright. "Everyone, are you scared by me?" Yu Yulan nervously grabbed Lin Chen's sleeve. Lin Chen laughed. "Ha ha ha, seventh princess, they're stunned by your appearance." Meow, take the picture. Chi Meow held up the ancient mirror and smiled sweetly. "Princess, please look." When Yu Yulan saw herself in the mirror, she was stunned. Is this really me?" Yu Yulan covered her cheeks, and 2 lines of tears slowly flowed down. Could this be a dream? The seventh princess was once shunned by countless people because of the poison curse. Even though the king protected her, those harsh and sarcastic words never stopped. Her life once fell into the darkest moment. She once asked herself if she was still fit to live in this world after being poisoned by the Saint Realm poison curse. At this time, her appearance in the mirror was 90% similar to the sixth princess. But the seventh princess did not have the coldness of the sixth princess. She was more gentle and tender, like an orchid in an empty valley. The seventh princess is really cured. I knew that such a kind person like the seventh princess would definitely move the heavens. At this time, a group of elders, women, and children rushed into the square, and all of them rushed to the high platform with ecstasy. They were the people that the seventh princess had helped. Chapter 966. Chi my Chi. The king cried emotionally. Of course, he wanted to invite a saint-level alchemist to save his daughter. But he was not only a father, he was also the king of a country. He had to be responsible for his people. Every time he thought of this, he would feel pain in his heart. Who would have thought that this holy son-in-law, who had appeared out of nowhere, would actually cure her? He even helped her recover her looks. How is this possible? I've seen seventh princess's face before. She was so ugly, like a monster. Well, what is going on? He really did something that a saint-level alchemist couldn't do. The 3 princes were shocked. He really did it. Sun Yu covered her red lips with her white hand, and her beautiful eyes were full of surprise and curiosity. The old lady in black's eyes shone brightly. This child will definitely become someone great. Even the saints could not stay calm. This was a problem that even a saint-level alchemist couldn't solve. Not only did he get rid of the curse, he also did something even more heaven-defying. Recover her looks. Many people knew that seventh princess's facial features were already damaged. Even if the curse was removed, it was impossible to recover. How'd he do it? Everyone's hearts were filled with shock, and their scalps were tingling. This is heaven-defying. This is 2F** king ridiculous. A saint-level alchemist couldn't even get rid of the curse. Not only did he get rid of the curse, he even recovered seventh princess's looks. This is definitely a heaven-defying method. Zhendok Shuai's son-in-law is invincible. Too invincible. Congratulations, your majesty. Congratulations. The officials of Fu Saint Country were all cheering excitedly. The geniuses on the genius list could not calm down for a long time. 7 days ago, they still thought that the Zhendok Shuai was just bragging, saying that he could get rid of seventh princess's curse and recover her looks. To them, it was a complete fantasy. But now, thinking about it, it was terrifying. He had once said that the Black Horse Club members were all level 8 alchemists. Now, It seemed that this was not a baseless claim. This was the meeting gift that only belonged to the Black Horse Club. It was too stunning. It was too heaven-defying. Compared to this, what 8th grade embryonic pill, what Saint Artifact creation scroll, what 10,000-year-old green ginseng, they were all trash. One had to know, how great of a price did it expend to invite a saint-level alchemist to take action? What's more, it was something that even a saint-grade alchemist couldn't resolve. But Jundok Shuai did it. Furthermore, it was done perfectly and flawlessly. The moonlight shone on the fairy-like, white-clothed princess. At this moment, she became the center of attention. History seemed to be frozen at this moment. However, the melodious sound of a string being plucked suddenly reverberated throughout the entire arena. Yet, the candlelight roams the night. The midnight stars are like running friends, caressing every scab on your wound. The young man plucked the strings of the zither, and his voice spread throughout the square of the palace. Why do you still occasionally lose control of your tears? I invite you to look carefully at the gap in your heart. There is gentleness in the cracks. The sound of the zither was pleasing to the ear. The young man plucked the strings and smiled. At this moment, the one who has grown to love is on her way. I know that she has traveled through wind and rain, not even the sun and dusk, crossing the sea of people just to embrace you. At this moment, the moon is high in the sky, the starlight in her beloved hand. I know that she has braved the wind and waves to go to the darkness. I feel the same way, and I give you the hope of redemption. On the high platform, the moonlight shone on the beautiful woman's face. The faint starlight adorned her jade-like hands, illuminating the darkness surrounding her. Everyone looked at this scene in a daze. The sound of the zither and the beauty under the moonlight perfectly fused together. It was like a scene that had been passed down through the ages, engraved in everyone's memory. At this moment, the one who has grown to love is on her way. I know that she has braved the wind and rain, not even the sun and dusk, crossing the sea of people just to embrace you. At this moment, the moon is high in the sky, the starlight in her beloved hand. I know that she has braved the wind and waves to go to the darkness. I feel the same way, and I give you the hope of redemption. When the cherry blossoms flutter in the wind, the beauty of the world is intertwined with you. The song ended. Everyone was still immersed in the aftertaste of the song. Countless women's eyes were already filled with tears. Yu Qingli and Yu Yulan stare blankly at the young man playing the zither. This is the gift I present to the king on behalf of the Black Horse Club. I don't know if the king is satisfied with it. The young man put away the zither and stood up. His smile stunned everyone. I know that she has braved the wind and waves to go to the darkness. I feel the same way, and I give you the hope of redemption. I know that she has braved the wind and rain, not even the sun and dusk, crossing the sea of people just to embrace you. After being cursed, which part of the 7th princess did not experience darkness? But the 7th princess had never succumbed to the curse. She had helped many refugees and became the most beloved princess of the ancient kingdom. How many women like her were there? Just like the phrase Jundok Shuai, the beauty of the world is intertwined with you. Wasn't this song reflecting the life of the 7th princess? A rare genius. This child is truly a peerless talent. I really envy Fushin country. They have really picked up a treasure. The saints were filled with amazement. In this life, they had seen many geniuses, but they had never seen a young man with such talent. He is really too outstanding, too unique. Sun Yuer'er stared at the back of the young man. This scene of going through the darkness and finally welcoming the light was like a fairy tale dream. Good, good, good. The king said good 3 times and rushed up the stage. He was so emotional that tears fell. He hugged his daughter and looked at her from head to toe. He had already heard the news that this saint's son-in-law had removed the curse on his daughter, but he never thought that he could even restore her face. This was something that even a saint-level alchemist could not do. Haha, saint's son-in-law, this king is really grateful to you for this gift. Tell me, what do you want as a reward? The king laughed loudly. Lin Yiqian smiled confidently and said, King is too polite. This is a meeting gift from me representing the Black Horse Club. How can I talk about those tacky things and rewards? Lin Shun added another sentence in his heart. I will be running away soon. Consider it as a dowry to make up for your loss. Good, good. Cheer. According to the imperial edict, you and Lu will be married to the same husband. Are you willing? The king was overjoyed and asked the seventh princess with a smile. Yu Yulan came back to her senses. She was nervous and shy. She was as beautiful as a fairy. She nodded happily and said, Yu Qingli's beautiful eyes flickered as she stared at the side of Lin Chen's face. For the first time, she actually revealed a bit of tenderness. Tenderness like water. Anyone could see that this proud daughter of heaven was truly moved. Many experts and sex envoys congratulated, and the atmosphere was pushed to the climax. The three princes sitting in the corner were livid. They did not dare to let out a fart. They wanted to give Lin Chen a show of strength, but they did not expect to go for wool and come home shorn. He even hugged two princesses, left and right, making countless people envious. Compared to this, their congratulatory gifts were truly unbearably vulgar. Chapter 967. What a genius! The old woman in black couldn't help but sigh. Sun Yuer nodded seriously. Yes, he's really outstanding. My dear granddaughter, are you tempted? The old woman in black smiled. Sun Yuer blushed and said, Grandma. It would be a lie to say that she didn't have a good impression of him. Of all the young women present, there was probably not a single one who didn't submit to his monstrous methods and unique charms. Lin Shen's gaze turned to the saint's VIP table and activated the stealing omen. Consumed 10 intermediate talent points. Stealing attribute points. 40 advanced rune energy. 20 advanced light energy. 20 advanced fire energy. 100 advanced technique essence. 50 intermediate heaven's path points. 20 advanced light energy. It felt so good to steal the saint stage's attribute points. If there are a few more banquets like this, I'll be able to level up by stealing attribute points. Lin Shan was secretly delighted. At this moment, Lin Shen's eye of 9 tribulations had detected that some saints hiding in the dark were about to make a move. He sat in the VIP table with the 6th princess on his left and the 7th princess on his right. He had a glass of juice in his hand and a coquettish smile on his face. This scene made some of the geniuses on the genius ranking twitch their mouths. This guy really deserves a beating. As for the saints on the same table, they would ask him questions from time to time, trying to find out more about him and his background, but he would just brush them off. After 3 rounds of drinks, Lin Shun began to look for an opportunity to slip away. 3 figures found Lin Chen's VIP table at the same time. Holy son-in-law of the Jundak Shui, does the Longyang Holy Kingdom have a custom of making friends with martial artists? Do you dare to fight with me? In a world where the strong are respected, strength is the foundation. Today I, Jing Fian, have met the Jundak Shui's holy son-in-law. I wonder if I can accept this martial fate. Haha, I also want to spar with the holy son-in-law. It was the princes of the 3 kingdoms. They actually invited Lin Shun to spar at the same time. It was obvious that he wanted to get back at them. They were originally the pursuers of the 6th princess, but not only had Lin Shun ruthlessly slapped the 3 of them in the face, he had also married the 7th princess, who was extremely similar to the 6th princess, but had a completely different temperament. Hugging 2 beauties. That's good too. It's good to exercise after dinner. Lin Shun stood up, and the venue immediately cleared out a vast, empty space. Everyone raised their heads in anticipation. Who would he choose? Was it Fong Jian from the Qingyu Kingdom, or Jing Fian, who ranked the lowest? Lin Shun waved his hand casually. I'm in a hurry. The 3 of you can pack up together. Handsome is very busy. The 3 of them were stunned. All the guests, envoys, officials, and nobles were stunned. The 3 of them were packed together? It wasn't like they were eating vegetables. 1 against 3? Was he crazy? Heavens, how arrogant is this holy son-in-law? The three princes are all from the fourth grade Holy Kingdoms. In the past, few people had surpassed them. The three of them had fought with the sixth princess before, and they were evenly matched. If the three of them joined forces, even a fifth tribulation combat emperor would die. The geniuses of the genius ranking furiously twitched their eyebrows. The three of them were fourth tribulation combat emperors and ranked at the top of the genius ranking. They had the foundation to challenge those of a higher realm. If they joined forces, it wouldn't be as simple as 1 + 1. All the experts present, except for those of the Saint realm, regardless of age or seniority, no one dared to say that they could fight the three princes alone. This Jundak, Shuai's holy son-in-law, was only a second tribulation combat emperor. No matter how strong he was, he couldn't defeat the three of them. What's wrong? You think it's unfair? How about I give you a handicap of one hand? Lin Chun sneered. The three princes were completely enraged. Today, I'd like to see what the new holy son-in-law of the Fuxing ancient kingdom is capable of. This is the first time I've met someone more arrogant than me. The three princes floated in the air aggressively. Yu Qingli was anxious to say something, but the king grabbed her. His eyes became particularly sharp as he smiled. It seems that my holy son-in-law has extraordinary means. How much did he save during the son-in-law selection ceremony? The four of them floated in the air, each occupying a corner. The king personally set up a spatial barrier to make room for the guests from all directions to look forward to the battle. Clang! The three princes took out their peak 7th grade weapons and treasured weapons one after another, and their auras were overbearing. Jing Fian from the Yen nation held a flaming halberd in his hand and a robe with a roar of a fire dragon on his shoulders. He stepped on the Thunderfire Profound wheel and controlled 3 peak 7th grade weapons at the same time, looking majestic. Fang Jian from the Qingyu nation held a 3-foot-long sword. His eyes were like stars as he released 7 odd crystal fragments from his body. His sword aura shone brightly, and a sword aura filled the sky above his head. Mo Lingxiao from the Longyang nation held an axe in his hand. His murderous aura was like a dragon, and his veins were squirming like dragons. His skin was covered in dragon scales, and his battle aura was unstoppable. It was like thousands of mountains standing there, and his aura alone suppressed countless guests, causing their expressions to change. Many prodigies on the genius roll swallowed their saliva and said with difficulty, "What a terrifying aura." If we go up, I'm afraid we won't even be able to take one move. The three princes are the top 50,000 prodigies on the genius roll. Each of them is a son of heavenly providence and is terrifyingly strong. I believe that the Jundak Shuai can take on one of them, but it's impossible for him to take on 2. 3 is even more ridiculous. Almost no one present thought that Lin Shun would be a match for the three princes. Even the sages were interested and observed carefully. Rumble. The axe flashed, and Mo Lingxiao made the first move. He slashed at Lin Shun with his axe, and his 99 million dragon power swept out in all directions. Big River soared from the heavens. Fang Jian slashed diagonally, and the light from the odd crystal shards covered the surrounding aura. The sword suppressed the 9 heavens, and a mighty sword light that was hundreds of feet long fell from Lin Chen's head. Brilliant dragon halberd. Jing Fian's halberd was like a dragon flame flying into the sky. The battle aura dragon circled behind Lin Chun and attacked furiously. All the prodigies on the genius roll were horrified. Countless guests sucked in a cold breath. Half-orange rank, and another half-orange rank. The three princes were full of murderous intent. How is this a F*** exchange of pointers? They were clearly trying to take the life of the Jundak Shuai. The three of them had received information in advance that Lin Chun had the same battle strength as the 6th Princess Yu Qingli, so they didn't hold back. Their attacks surrounded Lin Chun in an instant. However, all the sages' eyes suddenly narrowed. Boom, boom, boom. The three princes' attacks collided with each other, and smoke filled the sky. When the battle aura dissipated, Their faces changed slightly. We missed. How is that possible? My swordsmanship has locked onto his aura. It's impossible to miss. When the three of them looked around, the king shook his head in disbelief. His movement technique is several times stronger than before. It's almost the strongest movement technique under the orange rank. He actually held back so much in his battle with Liu. Although Lin Chen's Dragon Flash was perfected, he hadn't strengthened it yet. Now he was using the +13 Dragon Flash. He dodged the three's attacks almost immediately. Boom! A grayish-white talisman suppressed demons and froze the universe, causing the space around the three princes to become extremely stagnant. Their battle auras were circulating at the speed of a turtle. What? The three of them were shocked. Lin Chen, who was behind the three of them, raised his sword and slashed. Sword Fury Sky. Chapter 968. 7 Transformations, Ultimate Moment. Azure Dragon Possession. Pure strength, mental power, and battle chi surged. Lin Chen's aura skyrocketed. Consumed 6 high-grade rune energy. Activated level 6 slow, level 6 recharge, level 6 penetration rune. The moment the slow rune trapped the three of them, Lin Chen raised his sword, Atlas, and unleashed Sword Fury Atlas to the maximum. The raging flames and the sharp and domineering sword light combined into one. The orange sword light slashed in all directions, burning and destroying everything in its path. Rip! Boom! The three of them subconsciously activated their life-saving trump cards, but they were too slow. They were sliced by Lin Chen's sword. The 5 Saint Realm guests were horrified. Orange grade sword skill. He actually has an orange grade sword skill? That's not right. He's only a second Tribulation Combat Emperor. How could he learn an orange grade sword skill? The old woman in black was shocked. She had misjudged this guy time and time again. She didn't expect him to be so reserved. Yu Qingli was shocked and stunned. If this sword skill was used on the day of the son-in-law selection ceremony, she would definitely die. When the sword light dissipated, the king stood beside the three princes. At this moment, the three of them were severely injured. Jing Fian's right arm was broken. Fang Jian's stomach was almost cut open, and Mo Lingxiao's shoulder bone was exposed, dripping with blood. The king was using his saint power to heal the three of them. The three of them were still filled with fear. They didn't have the chance to defend against that sword, and they didn't even have the chance to use the life-saving item left by their king. If King Fu had acted a little later, the three of them would have died. He's actually this strong. That's too scary. I actually wanted to challenge him. The three of them lost their will to fight, and their teeth were chattering. This son-in-law hid his strength too well. He really knows how to cause trouble for me. I almost made a huge mistake. If these 3 little guys died here, I'm afraid a 4-nation war would break out immediately. The monarch was shocked inside. His secret technique gradually stabilized the injuries of the 3 people. The severed arms immediately healed and reconnected. Fortunately, he had acted in time. Lin Chen deactivated the ultimate moment and the 7-layered transformations. He stepped through the air and collected the elemental ball of light. Obtained 11 advanced rune energy, 988 advanced battle aura essence, 850 advanced HP, 14 advanced cultivation soul essences, 5 advanced fire energy, 1 advanced spirit, 2 advanced wind energy, 5 intermediate talent points. He scratched his head and laughed. I'm sorry, guys. I drank too much just now and got a little drunk. I didn't know how to control my strength. Are you okay? All the geniuses. Who are you trying to fool? You are clearly drinking fruit juice. How can you get drunk from drinking fruit juice? Too shameless, this person. He was clearly aiming to kill the 3 princes just now. This holy son-in-law is too cruel. On the surface, he was all smiles, but when it came to killing people, he was never polite. It's better not to provoke him in the future. He even chopped up the princes of the 3 kingdoms. Many of the high-ranking officials' mouths twitched. Just as the king healed the three princes and was about to smooth things over, the situation in the palace square suddenly changed. The eyes of all the saints turned especially sharp. Rumble. The space fluctuated, and the airwaves were crushed. An old hand suddenly tore through the void and grabbed at the top of Jean de Shuai's head, appearing without any warning. The speed of the attack was so fast that even the king could barely react. There was no way he could save Lin Chun. A saint is attacking? Who is it? Who dares to interrupt King Fu's 100,000th birthday celebration? Some of the elite's hearts skipped a beat. Whoosh! Jundok Shuai's body was covered in a dark aura. In an instant, he dodged the hand's grab. In the next moment, Lin Chun appeared on the high platform. Indeed, there are some tricks up his sleeve. Two figures appeared like ghosts, shocking everyone present. A saint? A saint was attacking the holy son-in-law, Jundok Shuai. The three princes and the geniuses on the prodigy ranking were stunned. This Jundok Shuai dodged the sneak attack of Saint. That move just now wasn't something that could be reacted to with just a simple movement technique. How many tricks did he have up his sleeves? Who are you? Do you not care about the rules of the Fu Saint ancient nation? Two voices shouted, and two figures appeared from the south and east. A man in green and an old man with white eyebrows floated in the air. They were the Fu Saint ancient nation's advisor and a Saint ancient nation's grand elder. The king immediately appeared beside Lin Chun and said in a low voice, "You attacked the holy son-in-law of the Fu Saint ancient nation. I'm afraid you are looking down on us. People from the Black Horse Club, whoever dares to protect him will die." The two men in black said coldly. Their attitude was extremely domineering. There was no room for negotiation. "We are from the mystic realm's hidden pavilion. You better mind your own business, or else the country will be destroyed." The masked Saint ancient nation's grand elder gave a threatening warning. Before the king could say anything, countless pillars of light rose from the sky outside the palace. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The spatial light beams gathered together to form a cube, sealing off the entire vast imperial city in space. The eyes of the grand elder and the king narrowed. To seal off such a large area of space, it would take at least 7 saints to do it. In addition to the 2 in the field, didn't that mean that there were actually 9 saints? Most of the people present could not help but feel fear. These people did not come with good intentions. "Young master, are you all right?" Yu Yulan and Yu Qingli were about to move. Lin Chen shouted, "Don't come near me." Rays of holy light descended, and the palace was filled with a murderous aura of danger. People from the Black Horse Club are indeed monsters. Jundok Shuai, that Lin Chen must be hiding in the peach blossom pouch. He killed the 2 saints of the hidden pavilion and the first saint of Fungu. You have to pay the price. 8 saints appeared at the same time, and the palace was filled with shock. All the geniuses stared at Lin Chen with trembling mouths. This Black Horse Club killed 3 saints? Elder of the Hidden Pavilion, Ying Tianma, and the Pavilion Master of the Hidden Pavilion, Ying Tianma. The President of the 4th Rank Chamber of Commerce, Lien Wanjin. The honored guests of the Sage Stage all had a dignified look on their faces. The king's face was even more serious. Including the 2 saints, there were a total of 10 saints here. Even the Fu Tian Kingdom could not ignore such a lineup, unless they gathered all the saints, but the other party would not give them the time to do so. Haha, so what if there are 10 saints? 16 saints couldn't catch our vice director, and 10 saints want to catch me. The handsome da? Lin Chen laughed and said to the king, "King, this is the enemy of the Black Horse Club, the son-in-law of the Fushan country. I'm afraid the Jundok Shuai will not be able to enjoy it. I hope the king will not interfere. A man must bear the consequences of his own actions. We cannot drag the Fushan country into this." Lin Chen's words stirred up even more waves. He did not want the Fushan country to interfere. Did he want to face the 10 saints alone? Chapter 969. Without giving the king a chance to express his opinion, Lin Chen stepped into the air. His body was wrapped in dark shadow demonic chi, and he stepped onto the white light of a dragon. He traveled through the void with one step. You want to leave? The pavilion master of the dark pavilion, who was dressed in black, exploded with black light and shot out. The black light shot to Lin Chen's side and condensed into his figure. He suddenly struck out with his palm. Pucci! The palm tore through the void, but it hit nothing. Yingmiao was stunned. It's fine if this kid can travel through the void with one shadow, but how is his movement technique so strong? Wong, Wong, Wong. A boundless sword aura that wanted to subjugate all living things rose up furiously. The swordsmen in the palace felt a chill in their hearts, and their bodies trembled in fear. Sword Saint. This is the Sword Saint's Sword Dao. The Sword Saint has made his move. Sword Saint Qin Jintian slashed through the sky and cut through the white light dragon shadow that had just flashed to the other side. Rip! The sword light shattered, and the afterimage was destroyed. Another afterimage? Qin Jintian squinted his eyes, and his sword eyes were like fire. Hiss! The three princes and the geniuses on the genius ranking took a deep breath. Jundok Shui dodged the attacks of a Saint Realm expert. This wasn't a coincidence. The heavily injured Ng Tianma had a serious expression. When we participated in the Conference of the Four Directions, those little bastards from the Black Horse Club hadn't reached such a terrifying level yet. Even that Dark Shadow Clan member had made a breakthrough. If we let him continue to grow like this, wouldn't it be terrible? It's only been a few days. Baleful aura surged as a ghost head blade slashed through the air. Lian Wanjin's grin echoed. Jundok Shui, you killed Dai Hua. Today, I'll make you pay with your blood. The blade aura turned into 10,000 slashes, and Lian Wanjin only slashed once, creating 10,000 blade scars. The blade scars shattered Lin Chen's afterimage, but they still didn't hit him. Lin Chen flashed several dozen kilometers away again. His eyes scanned the entire area as he activated the god Stealing Omen. Consumed 11 intermediate talent points, stolen attribute points, 50 advanced dark energy, 200 advanced rune energy, 200 advanced cultivation soul essences, 10 advanced spirit. Lin Chen exclaimed in delight as the high-quality attribute points poured into his body. Yingmia, another Sage Realm assassin, Lian Wanjin, and Qin Jintian. This was the first time Lin Chen had met these Sage Realm experts, and Lin Chen had stolen extraordinary attribute points from them. Stealing 50 points of advanced dark energy in one go was much more than absorbing a dozen odd crystal fragments. In the instant that Lin Chen activated the god Stealing Omen, all the saints took a closer look. Dark shadow devil chi circulated around his body, and the pair of purple-red wings on his back were magnificent. The veins on the wings were exquisite, and the feathers shone brightly. With a slight flap, there was the power of a phoenix's flame shuttling back and forth. He actually has a pair of sacred phoenix wings. This kid has a destiny plant pouch. Lin Chen must be on him. Capture him. We've already sealed off the space in the Imperial City. He can't escape. No matter how fast he is, he won't be able to withstand our siege. The 10 saints revealed their killing intent as they moved together and attacked Lin Chen at the same time. Who the hell wants to fight with you guys? Bye-bye. Lin Chen laughed as he patted the great flame phoenix wings and used Dragon Flash. With Little Shadow's possession, Lin Chen's body shuttled through the void. With the combination of the two, his speed was even faster than many Sage Realm experts tearing through space. Father, can you help him? Father, if you don't help, he will die. The 7th and 6th princesses hurriedly begged the king. The latter gritted his teeth and was about to take action when his face suddenly froze. Swish! Swish! Lin Chen retreated again and again until he reached the edge of the spatial enchantment. When the 10 saints thought that he was a turtle in a jar, his figure flashed and actually passed through the spatial enchantment that the 8 saints had painstakingly set up. The 10 saints were momentarily dazed and dumbfounded. What was going on? Even someone as strong as Ing Tianma couldn't pass through the spatial enchantment formed by the 8 saints in an instant. We've miscalculated. It's that connate dark shadow. It has broken through and evolved. It can see through our spatial enchantment now. After it, everyone watched as the 10 saints couldn't catch a war emperor. They were all dumbfounded. Is this Jundok Shuai still human? 2 days ago, the saints had rushed out of the Dark Island, and the 2 saints of the Dark Pavilion had also arrived. The 10 saints split up to search for Lin Shun. In the end, they heard about the Black Horse Club in Fuxing Nation and rushed to the Fuxing Nation's palace to hide. They even gathered the 8 saints to set up a spatial enchantment just to be a turtle in a jar. But they didn't expect that the connate dark shadow would break through it. Little Shadow released a bolt of purple lightning and entered Lin Chen's body. Chi! A moment later, the blood-red mist in his body dissipated. Lin Chen patted Little Shadow, who was attached to him, and said, "Not bad, little guy. After breaking through, you can even remove Ing Tianma's mark." Little Dark Shadow smugly condensed the purple lightning into 2 words, boring. Among the 10 saints who were chasing after Jundok Shuai, Ing Tianma's expression changed slightly. This little bastard's methods are getting more and more profound. He even saw through my secret tracking technique. We can't lose him. If we do, we won't have another chance. The saints looked at each other and activated their secret movement techniques. Their speed of shuttling through the void became even faster. With 10 saints following me, death is like the wind, always by my side. Since I'm going to do it, I'll turn the entire southern region upside down. Junda Shuai smiled coquettishly and put on his self-made sunglasses. Southern region, North Night Island. North Night Island belonged to the 9 Underworld sect. This sect was notorious for raping, robbing, killing, and robbing. They also nurtured young prodigies to be their own cultivation cauldrons. They were all vicious people. Although the 9 Underworld sect didn't have grades, they had the foundation of a 3rd-grade sect. The southern region unanimously classified them as an evil sect. They had been domineering for 10,000 years, and their foundation had grown stronger. Today, the 2 saints of the 9 Underworld sect had gathered together with many evil sects of the 2nd-grade level to discuss how to divide and conquer the 2nd-grade sect's territory. North Night Island, Main Hall. The saints of the evil sects had gathered. The men were cruel and ruthless, and some were sinister and cunning. The women were seductive, and some were beautiful and murderous. Today, we've gathered all of you here to discuss how to deal with Blazing Sacred Temple and Xian sect. When the time comes, the disciples of the sects will divide equally. The men will eat, the women will be nurtured into cauldrons, and the spirit plants of providence will be taken by all of you. What do you think? In the main hall, 2 elders smiled sinisterly. These 2 sects are only 2nd-grade sections. With the 7 saints here, we have the ability to take them down. An old woman smiled sinisterly and said, "You 2 old fogies will be the vanguard? Who can guarantee that they will be able to escape unscathed from the final counterattack of 2 saints?" As soon as these words were spoken, the atmosphere became strangely silent. The 5th Tribulation Battle Emperors in the main hall had sinister expressions. They looked like they would start a fight at any moment. The meeting hadn't even started for 15 minutes when the door was kicked open with a bang. All the saints of the evil sects were shocked. They hadn't sensed any traces of someone approaching. A purple-clothed youth slowly walked into the main hall. He carried a green bough on his back. His face was like jade, and he held a paper fan in his hand. There was always a smile on his face that made people feel like they were bathing in the spring breeze. His eyes were as clear as jade, and they were like green willows in the spring breeze. He was gentle and refined, like a delicate and pretty scholar. The youth's smile was charming. "I'm one of the 6 stars of the Black Horse Club. I'm the arrogant Shintoku Sho of the Jianghu. I was passing by this place, so I decided to go shopping and steal some attribute points. Bang! The sword light that tore through space cut through the fingerprints, and the heretical saints levitated in the air. Wait a minute, everyone. We're only here to capture this brat. It has nothing to do with you. Mist Saint and Cicada Saint stepped out and immediately sent telepathic messages to the heretical saints. With a lesson learned from the battle with Tao Dai, these saints wouldn't be so easily instigated by Lin Shun. The 7 saints were stunned, so they weren't bodyguards. Before the Sage Realm experts present could come back to their senses, Zhang Daxiu snapped his fingers. Targets hostile to the host within a radius of 10,000 miles have been locked on. Activating the blue rank sure kill technique. 1,000 suns burning the sky, abyss violent wind, dark E9 thunder, sky E ice corrosion. Whoosh! Bang! Dozens of terrifying thunderclouds exploded, and tens of thousands of sun-burning flames descended. A pitch-black tornado appeared out of nowhere and locked on to all the saints present. What the hell is this? Oh no! This energy is tracking our aura. Quick, defend! The saint's expressions changed. Lin Shin moved and used his movement technique. Little dark shadow entered the void and moved forward. Bang! 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 Sun-burning flames burned the sky, and thunderclouds exploded. Countless lightning dragons descended. All the saints were covered in flowing light. Holy light protection. However, the aftershock of the sure kill technique shattered a large number of heretical combat emperors. They didn't even have a chance to dodge before they were reduced to ashes. Received 1,320 battle aura essence, 1,000 high-grade health points, 10 high-grade technique essences, 5 mid-grade talent points, 10 high-grade rune energy, 4 high-grade fire energy, 850 strengthening points. After some of the heretical combat emperors died, they dropped attribute light balls. Lin Shun took all of them, and his attribute points increased by 1 point. Little guy, full speed ahead. Lin Shun flapped his great flame phoenix wings and used Dragon Flash. Light Calamity Battle Aura and Little Dark Shadow moved through the void. In an instant, they traveled hundreds and thousands of miles. I still have 9 blue rank sure kill techniques left. I can't use them recklessly. Suddenly, Lin Chen's heart tightened. A thunderstorm appeared behind him. It was the master of the hidden pavilion, Ying Mia. He was willing to risk being injured by the sure kill technique just to catch up with Lin Shun. Bang! Ying Mia stretched out his palm. Faint purplish-black claw marks burst out from his fingers and tore through the void toward Lin Shun. Kid, die! The holy light claw marks passed through the encirclement of the sure kill techniques. Although most of their power was weakened, it was more than enough to kill a combat emperor. Lin Shun was caught off guard. Almost instinctively, he circulated the golden calamity battle aura around his body and formed layers of golden curtains. The purplish-black claw marks pressed down on Lin Chen's chest. Chi! Rip! The half-orange-gray defensive technique, Heaven's Ride, which was in its ultimate state, combined with Lin Chen's golden calamity mystic gang, could almost withstand the full force attack of a 5 calamity combat emperor. However, under this claw attack, it began to crack. Azure Dragon Possession. Slow Rune. The moment Lin Chun vomited blood, he instantly used the Slow Rune and Azure Dragon Possession. The Dragon Emperor's defense was added to Lin Chen's body. Coupled with the delay of the Slow Rune, he pulled away from the claw marks in an instant. Lin Chun dodged the final attack of the claw marks. Woo-woo. Little Dark Shadow let out a mournful cry. It was worried about Lin Chun and itself. That claw attack just now had severely injured it, and Lin Chun vomited blood and suddenly shouted, "Little guy, run!" Lin Chun released the severely injured Dragon Emperor and quickly escaped with Little Dark Shadow. Ying Mia was once again surrounded by the sure kill techniques. Although he was slightly injured, his mouth curved into a sinister smile. 15 minutes later. Damn it, we let that kid escape. Lien Wanjin was flustered and exasperated as he cursed. Qin Jintian's expression was so gloomy that he wanted to kill someone. His sword aura surged violently. Our people. Who the hell is that kid? I've never seen such a strange attack before. We couldn't even dodge it. The 7 heretical saints were all furious and filled with killing intent. The overall strength of the heretical saints was slightly inferior to Lien Wanjin and the others. Facing that wave of sure-kill techniques, just now, they had almost been injured even after putting all their efforts into defense. They simply couldn't take care of their subordinates. Now that they had come back to their senses, they were almost completely wiped out. Today was an important meeting of the heretical sections. Those who died were all ruthless characters and elites who had killed countless people. They were all core members of the heretical sects. Don't worry, he won't be able to escape. He took my attack head-on, and that dark shadow is also heavily injured. He won't be able to run far. His dark shadow won't be able to recover in a short period of time. The Black Horse Club that lost its innate dark shadow is nothing to worry about. We'll seal off all the nearby territories. We'll definitely be able to capture him. Ing Mie sneered and turned to look at the heretical saints. Everyone, we're also chasing after this kid. If you join us, you might even be able to get a share of the loot. A mountain stream flowed with the sound of a clear spring. At this moment, the body of a youth covered in blood floated over from the river. Most of his clothes were torn, revealing the youth's slender figure. Ah, someone died. A girl screamed. Wait, he doesn't seem to be dead. Oh, sister, he's so big. Don't look around. You'll have nightmares. Chapter 971. Where did this Black Horse Club come from? How did they offend so many Saint Realm experts? Now, even the heretical Saint Realm experts want to deal with them. The old woman in black, who was hiding in the clouds, exclaimed in surprise. Ever since Jundak Shuai broke out of the encirclement, the old woman in black had been tracking the 10 saints. This young man had refreshed her knowledge again and again. Just that unavoidable attack alone was already ridiculous. If a Saint Realm expert had such a trump card in a battle of life and death, he wouldn't even be able to dodge it. It could be the deciding factor of life and death. Grandma, will he be all right? Son, who was beside her, asked worriedly. The old woman in black laughed. You like him? This time, Sun Yuer only shook the corner of her grandma's clothes. She didn't answer her grandma's question. An outstanding man could always attract an outstanding woman. With Zhenda, Shuai's talent, and charisma, it would not be an exaggeration to say that his performance in the Fu Saint Nation was unparalleled. This young man has a powerful background. I can only see if there's a chance to help him. This is beyond my ability. The old woman in black took her granddaughter and flew in the direction where Lin Chun had disappeared. In his dreams, Lin Chun faintly dreamt of an earth-shattering handsome figure shaking his head and leaving. Chief, don't go. What did I do wrong? Lin Chun shouted with all his might in his sleep. The man threw a book at Lin Chun's face without looking back. Lin Chun picked it up and read it. The Single Machine King's Secrets of Acting Tough, Volume 2. In a palace, 2 Saint Realm experts sat in a secret chamber. Their faces were extremely gloomy. The 5th Tribulation Battle Emperors beside them didn't dare to breathe loudly. What happened? How did Wu Ming die? Didn't he go to participate in the son-in-law selection? We've already sent out our fastest spy. We should know soon. His ranking has been replaced by someone from the Black Horse Club called Jundak Shuai. This guy has a strange background. The 2 sages' expressions were gloomy and uncertain. Suddenly, a few terrifyingly powerful auras descended from the palace. A saint has come to my Qin family? Not just one, but more than 4. Both saints narrowed their eyes and shuttled through the void. In the hall of the palace, the person in the lead was the master of the secret pavilion, Ing Mie. The 2 saints of the Chun clan appeared in the palace and said indifferently, Friends, why have you come to our Chun clan? We're here to provide you with the information you want. Ing Mie smiled indifferently. As far as I know, the genius of the Chun family, Chun Wuming, was recently killed by a kid from the Black Horse Club. That group of brats is very likely to have fled to the territory near your Chun family. What? The two saints' eyes were sharp and fierce. Ingmia smiled faintly, as if everything was under his control. How about it, everyone? Let's talk about cooperation. With your Chun family's territory, it shouldn't be too difficult to find a few people. Leader no. Lin Chun woke up from his dream and found himself in a room, covered in cold sweat. He subconsciously covered his brother and his anus. Fortunately, he was fine. He then touched his storage ring. Everything was still there. Lin Chun looked and found that he had changed into a brand new set of green clothes. His expression was slightly pained. He vaguely remembered that after he was severely injured by the master of the secret pavilion, he had the Dragon Emperor and Little Shadow take him away at full speed. He had used the 1,000 illusion mask to change his aura and appearance. The attack of a saint is really crazy. Even with 90% of its power, it could still easily break through my strongest defense. If I hadn't used the rune of delaying and the Dragon Emperor's possession at the last moment, I'm afraid I would be dead by now. Lin Chun felt a lingering fear. That claw had almost taken his life. On the surface of Lin Chun's body, there was a faint reddish-gold membrane. This was because he had consumed a large amount of red gold vines. His third low-grade spiritual plant of luck, the red gold tree, was a red gold vine. Its specialty was the red gold vine, which had the miraculous effect of filling the blood and strengthening the body. Refining the red gold vine could greatly increase the defensive power of the body. Even if Lin Chun didn't circulate the Golden Calamity Battle Force, he would only be scratched by a punch from his second Tribulation Combat Emperor. This was also the important reason why he wasn't killed by a saint. All right, how's the little guy? Lin Chun's consciousness returned to the peach blossom pouch. At this moment, the dragon-shaped little shadow had shrunk into a black cloud and was surrounded by purple lightning. Lin Chun's Silver Saint Origin coins had decreased by about 800,000 Saint Origin coins. In Lin Chun's dowry and the Sacred Flame Phoenix's inventory, 357th grade pills and 30 Long Kingwo pills had decreased. This little guy must have eaten the pills and Long Kingwo because it was injured. Looks like I have to wait for it to recover first. System, Ultimate Restoration. Lin Chun's body was covered in colorful light. After using Ultimate Restoration and chewing 2 Long Kingwo pills, Lin Chun's injuries had only healed by 70%. His Dragon Emperor was also heavily injured and was recovering. Lin Chun let the Dragon Emperor consume a large amount of healing pills and Long Kingwo pills to quickly heal the Dragon Emperor's injuries. Although I'm sorry to the Fu Saint Nation's monarch, there's no other way. Dragging them into this will only implicate them. Lin Chun wasn't worried about the Qin sisters. He had already instructed the 2 girls to immediately return to the mysterious realm through the spatial tunnel in Fu Saint Nation if there were any changes. Uncle Yi, if you don't come and see him, he might die. His injuries are too severe. My sister and I can't do anything with our alchemy skills. A young girl's voice sounded from outside the door. 3 figures pushed open the door and entered. 2 beautiful girls stood on the left and right. The elder sister's hair reached her waist. She was cold and beautiful, full of vitality. The younger sister was youthful and lively, pure and sunny. Her gem-like eyes twinkled. The hemp-robed elder had a helpless expression. This old man might not be able to heal him. HM? The 3 of them had just entered the room when they were shocked. The heavily injured youth that they picked up had already gotten up. Lin Chun got off the bed and smiled at the 3 of them. Thank you for your help. May I ask where this is? The green-robed elder sister's face was filled with disbelief. You're so heavily injured. How can you get up so quickly? Quickly lie down. Lin Chun shrugged and smiled. It's fine. My body is as hard as my brother. If you don't believe me, feel it. Lin Chun stretched out his hand. The green-robed elder sister walked forward to check his pulse. Young master, what method did you use? You were still heavily injured yesterday. The green-robed elder sister was shocked. The younger sister swayed her twin ponytails. She lifted Lin Chun's wrist and curiously checked his pulse. Her face was filled with amazement and curiosity. "It's true. When we picked you up yesterday, you were almost dead. How come you're so much better now?" The two sisters were high-grade rank 7 alchemists. Yesterday, they didn't have much confidence in healing Lin Chen's injuries. Today, he was at least 70% recovered. "I'm really Long Chenhua. Thank you for saving my life." Lin Chen flicked his finger, and 2 storage rings fell into the hands of the 2 girls. He smiled. "It's nothing. Please accept my respect." The 2 girls checked the contents of the rings and were shocked. The storage rings were filled with 100,000 silver Saint Origin coins, 10 scrolls of pill recipes, and 1 scroll of alchemy handprints. This young master's background is not small. He took out 100,000 silver Saint Origin coins in one go. Chapter 972. The green-clothed sister's heart trembled. She and her sister only received 1,000 silver Saint Origin coins a month. This was the highest level in the entire family. 200,000 silver Saint Origin coins in one go. Who exactly was this young man? Even a top genius from a 4th grade sect wouldn't be able to fork out such a sum. "By the way, where is this place?" Lin Chen asked curiously. "This is the Yin family's Dragon Elephant City, the territory of the 4th grade Chen family. I am in Yin'er, and this is my sister, in Xiaojiao. This is our family's chief alchemist, Uncle Yi." And Yin'er smiled sweetly, and Uncle Yi actually cupped his fist to Lin Chen seriously. He could feel that this young man's extraordinary mental strength was several levels stronger than his. It was very likely that he was also a powerful alchemist. Chen family. Lin Chen's heart skipped a beat. It couldn't be so coincidental. I wonder if there's a place to buy things in this city. I still need some herbs to heal my injuries. Lin Chen found an excuse, but he actually wanted to buy odd crystal fragments. He would never lack the attribute points to create a killing move. Uncle Yi's eyes lit up when he heard that Lin Chen wanted to buy herbs. He was almost certain that this young man was most likely a top alchemist. "Sure, let me introduce you. We will be holding an auction here soon." And Xiaojiao giggled and was very familiar with Lin Chen. The group left the room and strolled in the Yin family's courtyard with guards following them. From his sister's introduction, Lin Chen learned that he had been unconscious for a day and a night. Coincidentally, this Chen family was actually the Chen family that did business with Qin Miao, Er's family. Chen Wuming, who betrayed Qin Miao, and her sister, causing them to be abducted and sold, and then died in the hands of Lin Chen, was from this 4th grade family, the Chen family. But the news that made Lin Chen even more excited was that there was a purgatory volcano island in the territory controlled by the Chen family. This purgatory volcano had flames that could burn a saint realm, and it even nurtured the sacred flame pearl. The burning flame saint orb was a burning flame saint orb that could only be formed from extremely deep lava. With enough sacred burning flame pearls, there was a certain probability of a complete odd crystal being born. The reason why the Chen clan could become a 4th grade aristocratic family was largely because of this purgatory volcano island. However, 2 sage experts would take charge of the Chen clan every year because the resources it produced were extremely high-end. Damn it, this sacred burning flame pearl is the raw material energy for making odd crystals. Lin Chen was shocked. Now, his 3rd low-grade spiritual plant of destiny, Pure Gold Tree, had already entered the growth stage and was 295 meters tall. Once he entered the peak period, as long as he had the energy of the raw materials, Lin Chen could try cultivating odd crystals. And according to the ancient gods' secret records, the success rate of nurturing low-grade odd crystals was 100%. As long as there was enough energy, it could be nurtured. Only mid-grade odd crystals had a failure rate. I have to find a way to get some Tiani holy water and nurture the pure gold tree to its peak. Then I can get the burning flame sacred pearl and cultivate the odd crystal. Lin Chen was excited, but he remained calm on the surface. During the conversation, The two sisters became more familiar with Lin Chun. The only thing they didn't know was his background, and he insisted on not revealing it. Bang. In the courtyard, there was a sudden vibration, surnamed in "Don't be so shameless. It's your fortune that our two young masters are interested in your sisters." The man's sinister laughter made the two girls' faces change slightly. Indian clan's main hall. Two men in tight robes crossed their legs. They were only second Calamity Combat Emperors, but they were disdainful of the fourth Calamity Combat Emperors in the main hall. The day after tomorrow, the Cloud Dragon Palanquin of the two young masters of the Chun clan will be at your doorstep. We are here to warn you that you will have to marry him. The words of the two men made the faces of many elders in the main hall extremely ugly. How can they be so forceful in marriage? The noblewoman in the main hall was anxious. The purple-robed man cupped his fists at the two men in black and said, "Both of you, can you go back and tell young Master Chun to give us a few more days? Our two daughters aren't ready yet. Cut the crap." One of the men in tight robes slammed the table angrily. With a bang, the table was shattered into pieces. The other man sneered and said, "We gave you half a year, and you still aren't ready?" The exact words of the two young masters were, "Once the Dragon Palanquin arrives, your daughters will have to marry him even if they don't want to. Otherwise, you will be disrespecting the Chun clan." The atmosphere in the main hall was oppressive. The two young masters were affiliated families of the Chun clan. Who would dare to offend them? The two men in tight robes stood up and turned around to leave. Suddenly, they bumped into someone. "Damn it, who is it? You're courting death." Bang! Bang! The two men were sent flying into the main hall like arrows leaving the bowstring. They were looking for their teeth on the floor and vomiting blood continuously. The expression of the master of the clan changed greatly. "Who hit the people of the affiliated families of the Chun clan? Apologize to everyone here. If you don't, then I don't mind breaking your legs later." The azure-clothed young man walked slowly into the main hall in high spirits and had a smile on the corners of his mouth. Chapter 973. Lin Chin sat in the main hall and briefly understood the ins and outs of the situation. Two young masters from the Chun clan subsidiary clan had taken a liking to Xiaojiao and Yin'er for a long time. They had repeatedly proposed marriage, and this time they even wanted to snatch them away. Their subsidiary clan was the same as the clan. They didn't have any Saint Realm experts, but because of their good fortune and the emergence of two geniuses on the genius ranking, they were supported by the main Chun clan. A clan without a Saint Realm expert could only rely on a powerful force to find a chance of survival. "Since the two of you saved me, if they come to propose marriage the day after tomorrow, leave it to me." Lin Chun smiled faintly, revealing his absolute confidence. Without a Saint Realm expert, there weren't many people who could threaten him. If there was, it would be at least the top 50,000 geniuses on the genius ranking. The Chun clan only had two Saint Realm experts, and they wouldn't come out of seclusion for such trivial matters. "If there's a need, we'll have to trouble young Master Long." Patriarch and cupped his fists. It wasn't that they didn't want to stop the other party, but if they did, it would be equivalent to standing on the opposite side of the Chun clan. Their clan didn't have any geniuses on the genius ranking, so they didn't have any bargaining chips to challenge the other party. If Lin Chun intervened, he might be able to use the force behind him to intimidate the other party. "I heard that there's an auction in Dragon Elephant City. I have to go take a look." Lin Chun stood up and smiled. It was nighttime, and the night market happened to be open, and Yin'er smiled sweetly and said, "Then let me lead the way. I want to go too. I have a chance to spend the 100,000 silver Saint Origin coins that Brother Long gave me," and Xiaojiao skipped and followed Lin Chun. Her laughter stunned everyone in the main hall, and the corners of their mouths twitched violently. Giving away 100,000 silver Saint Origin coins? Who is this young man? After the three of them left, a battle emperor reported. "Patriarch, do we need to send more guards to protect the young miss?" "No need. No matter how good the guards are, they can't be compared to the ones beside them. These two girls have brought back a great Buddha for our clan. The patriarch's eyes shone brightly. At night, Dragon Elephant City was brightly lit and still packed with people. Lin Chun and the two girls strolled along the street. There were beauties on both sides of them, making them envious and causing countless people to cry out in surprise. How could the two daughters of the Yin family be so close to a young man? However, Dragon Elephant City could be said to be extremely fiery today, and an excited and surging atmosphere permeated the entire city. Firstly, it was because of the once-in-a-millennium auction in Dragon Elephant City. Secondly, it was because the Qin clan had just announced to numerous islands and countries that a new piece of important news had appeared in the world. Numerous notices were scattered all over the streets, and they were like snow that fluttered in the wind. It was actually the notices that the Chan clan had just issued. On the notice, there were quite a few arrest warrants for a few people, and there were even clear portraits of them. Because of this, many experts received some of the notices. When they read them, their faces were filled with shock and horror. Arrest warrants? The Chen clan officially wants the following people. Belongs to the Black Horse Club. Title: Deity descending to the mortal world. Lin Chun. Title: One Swords Only. Zhendok Shuai. Title: Peerless Pill Saint. Zhen Dang. Title: Uncanny Workmanship. Zhen Dekang. Title: Monarch of the Moon. Zhen Diju. Shintoka Sho. Zhen Depi. Characteristics: Late Stage, Ninth Heaven, Second Tribulation Combat Emperor. If you discover anything, report it immediately. Bounty: If you discover a person and report it successfully, you will receive 800,000 Saint Origin coins, 3 top-grade purple tier cultivation techniques, 1 odd crystal fragment, 1 peak 7-tier weapon, and 5 top-grade 7-tier weapons. Oh my god, what kind of huge reward is this? Countless experts were eager to take action. Regardless of whether they came to participate in the auction, reclusive experts, caravans, or sect elders passing by, everyone wanted a share of the profits. Just the 800,000 Saint Origin coins alone was shocking enough. There were also many cultivation techniques, weapons, and elixirs. This was a huge opportunity for many people. Even if they formed a team to split the rewards, they could still get a fair share of the profits. They were just a group of Second Tribulation Combat Emperors. Even if they were peerless geniuses on the genius list, they could still get a huge reward by delaying the time to report the news. Only fools wouldn't do it. This group of people is AF Asterisk King Walking Treasure Trove. What kind of monstrous disaster did they cause? TSK, you guys don't know. According to my grandfather, he just came out of the Qin clan and didn't even dare to breathe loudly. The two saints of the Chun clan personally came out of seclusion to draft this arrest warrant. Yes, our uncle also said that there are a few new saints coming to the Chun clan's headquarters. There are new saints coming out of seclusion? This is too crazy. Even the saints want to capture people. I'm afraid this group of people has pierced through the sky. Didn't you guys pay attention to the recent genius list? The #1 genius of the Chun clan, Chun Wuming, died in the hands of this Zhendok Shuai from the Black Horse Club. Even the ranking has been replaced. It would be strange if the Chun clan didn't put out an arrest warrant for him. Dragon Elephant City was in an uproar because of this new announcement. Countless experts were discussing spiritedly, forming temporary groups and forming cliques. They were determined to find the people on the arrest warrant. Wow, Big Brother Long Chimbua, did you hear that? These people are a bit too amazing. They actually startled a few saints to want to capture them. And Xiao Jiao held the arrest warrant and shook her head in wonder. Lin Shin smiled and nodded without saying anything. Indeed, the people on the arrest warrant are all very handsome, especially this Lin Shin. His handsomeness puts even me to shame. How can there be such a handsome man in the world? And Xiao Jiao giggled. Big Brother Long, why are you focusing on such a strange thing? And Yenner looked deeply at Lin Shin. Lin Shin shrugged. Let's go. We'll go to the auction. The good stuff will only appear later. I estimate that we'll be able to make it in time for the second half of the auction. The two women followed. Suddenly, A pleasant voice, transmitted to Lin Chun via battle chi, sounded in his ears. "Young Master Long, may I ask if I have the chance to know your true name?" It was in Yenner's voice. It just so happened that the Chun family had issued the arrest warrant at this time, and her family had picked up such a strange youth who didn't want to reveal his origins. How could she not be suspicious? Most importantly, his methods were simply inconceivable. How could he heal an injury that had 1 foot in the gates of hell in a single day? Even a peak 7th rank alchemist and a peak 7th rank medicinal pill wouldn't have such a miraculous effect. Even more terrifying was that he had casually thrown out 200,000 Saint Yuan coins. This wasn't the wealth of an ordinary genius. A woman's intuition was often very frightening. "Miss Yenner, I don't dislike smart girls, but do you think knowing my true identity will be beneficial to you?" Lin Chun sent a voice transmission and said with a faint smile. And Yenner pondered for a moment and smiled, no longer asking. The three of them entered the auction hall. The auction was in full swing. Lin Chun had only just entered when he heard the name of a treasure that attracted his attention. 1 bottle of heavenly, 1 holy water. Guest number 30 bids 20,000 Saint Yuan coins. Chapter 974. Fusheng Ancient Nation, Imperial Palace. The upper echelons of Fusheng country held the report Jade Scroll in their hands. Their eyes were lifeless, and their faces twitched as if they had seen a ghost. The information recorded on the Jade Scroll was the situation of the 4-way conference held by Mystic Realm and Xuan Yu. However, almost all the geniuses were overshadowed by one name. Black Horse Club. The 7th and 6th princesses covered their red lips with their hands, their hearts palpitating. The information recorded on the Jade Scroll was more ridiculous than the last. It shocked the world and defied common sense. His subordinate, Jundok Shuai, can barely control a saint sword at a young age. 9th layer late-stage cultivation has already learned an orange tier sword technique. He killed a 4th-grade merchant's son with 1 slash. Zhun Dijiu, titled Monarch of the Moon, 9th layer late-stage battle emperor, can barely control an 8th level saber. He has already learned an orange tier saber technique. Zhun Dang, titled Peerless Pill Saint, together with Sacred Pill Pavilion's genius, Han Ziyun, he refined an 8th level saint pill, the highest result in the history of the 4-way conference. Zhun Dezhang, titled Uncanny Craftsmanship, the strongest forging genius in the history of the 4-way conference, has the strength of an 8th level blacksmith. All the geniuses of the Black Horse Club suspected to have the strength of a saint-tier alchemist. Black Horse Club's vice director, Lin Chun, carries 2 spirit plants with him. His wealth is comparable to a country. He single-handedly defeated all the geniuses of Absolute Heaven Pavilion. He personally led the Black Horse Club and killed the Dragon Prince and Golden Armor Dragon Guards. All the members of the Black Horse Club are suspected to have at least 4 types of orange tier battle techniques. The moment they received the Jade Scroll, all the upper echelons of Fusheng country, including the king, were dumbfounded. What kind of gods did the Black Horse Club gather? 2 freaking monstrous. 8th level alchemist on average? Was this still human? After the king finished reading the contents of the Jade Scroll, he couldn't calm down for a long time. The king's mouth trembled. What kind of godly son-in-law did I get? The achievements they obtained in the beginning could already be rated as abnormal among abnormal, and there was even a tier 8 alchemist on average at the end. It turned out that Jundok Shuai's casual words during the son-in-law selection ceremony were actually true. 4 orange tier combat skills. Oh my god. A small number of top 4th grade sects only have 1 orange tier technique after accumulating countless resources and inheritances. This Black Horse Club actually has 4? The mouths of the officials and generals twitched. This kind of foundation was too terrifying. Only a legendary 5th ranked giant would have this kind of foundation. No wonder this little guy is able to provoke so many saint stage cultivators. After the monarch exclaimed in surprise, his eyes narrowed. "I have decided. I will personally lead the army and stand on the side of the Black Horse Club. When I am not around, all the court affairs will be handled by the state preceptor, my son, and second son." The monarch made a decision that shocked everyone in the palace. The ruler of a country had actually personally led an army to protect a few young people. "Father, we want to go too," the seventh princess and the sixth princess said in unison. In Longxiang City's auction hall, a group of VIPs was attracted by a green-robed young master's bid. Young Master Long Chenhua bids 50,000 Saint Origin coins for this bottle of heavenly one holy water. The auctioneer made the final call. Many people couldn't help but look at Lin Shun as if they were looking at an idiot. "Huh, is this a fool with a lot of money? This bottle of heavenly one holy water is so small. It's worth at most 30,000 Saint Origin coins. Maybe he's just trying to show off in front of the beauties. Don't you see the two girls beside him? They're the two daughters of the Yin family." Some jealous young people sneered. Lin Shin didn't care and found a place to sit with the two sisters. "Big Brother Long, you're spending too much," and Xiao Jiao was speechless. "You're losing too much. Whether something is worth or not depends on whether you need it or not. If I need something, it's worth it no matter how expensive it is." Lin Shin smiled lightly. He really did need the heavenly one holy water because the pure gold tree had just entered its growth stage. What he didn't lack the most now was money. After robbing the Hong Yin Sacred Phoenix's treasury, Lin Shun now had more than 22 million silver Saint Origin coins in his possession, in addition to the recent production of the 3 spiritual plants of destiny. This didn't include the large number of grade 7 herbs produced by the spirit plant of luck. In short, Lin Shen's wealth was now comparable to a 4th grade sect. Competing with him was equivalent to competing with an entire 4th grade sect. There was no way to compete. Next up is the main item of this auction. 2 Heavenly Frost odd crystal fragments, starting price of 60,000 Saint Origin coins. Before the auctioneer finished speaking, a voice rang out. 300,000. The auctioneer was stunned. All the guests were stunned too. What? 300,000 Saint Origin coins? Did they hear wrongly? No matter how precious 2 odd crystal fragments were, they weren't worth 300,000 Saint Origin coins. A young girl's reproachful voice rang out in the auction hall. "Brother Long, you're bidding too much." "Ah, too much? Then why don't we reduce it?" 290,000. The corners of everyone's mouth twitched. Do you have too much money, or are you here to ruin the auction? "Brother Long, it's still too much. 280,000 then. If it goes any lower, my conscience will hurt. Look at how hard it is for someone to wake up early and work late at night to organize an auction. We should be considerate of their hard work." Young Master Long was heartbroken, and his words revealed his concern for the people at the grassroots level. And Yinner was about to speak when young Master Long said solemnly, "It's settled then. I'll fall out with you if you reduce it any further." 280,000 Saint Origin coins, 2 Heavenly Frost odd crystal fragments, won by young Master Long. The auctioneer had a doubtful expression for the first time. He had cheated so many guests, and this was the first time he met such a rich and foolish weirdo. In order to prevent the other party from causing trouble, the auctioneer specially asked Lin Shun to pay the bid price first. In the end, Lin Shin took out a few storage rings from his Taoyuan plant pouch and threw them out. Each storage ring was filled with 100,000 Saint Origin coins, shocking everyone in the auction hall. "VIP. He's definitely a VIP. We can't offend this young master. He definitely has a strong background." The auctioneer was ecstatic and then brought out a fire element odd crystal fragment with a starting price of 40,000. 60,000 Saint Origin coins. Immediately, a VIP who had taken a fancy to the item offered price. As soon as he finished speaking, young Master Long's voice echoed in the hall. 200,000 Saint Origin coins. Everyone, F*CK. 2 Een element odd crystal fragments, starting price. 120,000 Saint Origin coins. 400,000. 3 Thunder Element Odd Crystal Fragments. Starting price, 600,000. Everyone in the auction hall was dumbfounded. Young Master Dragon lay on his seat weakly and sighed sadly. Sigh. Someone once said that I can't even afford to raise my own woman. That's why I carefully came out to see how poor I am. But I didn't expect that no one would bid. I just want to know how poor I am. Is it really that difficult? The hall was silent. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.